I will go and see him in the evening.
Shegun's father arrives home. He is surprised and happy to see his son. Shegun noticed that he is excited and restless.
Hey Shegun, what a pleasant surprise. When did you come and how are you?
I am fine, Bami. I came around 10 a.m. Mommy told me you went to Dele's father's house. How is he doing?
He is recovering in the hospital, but still unable to walk.
What happened, Bami? You look excited since you came in.
It's a good thing that you came home. Hey, Iyashegun, you too come here. I have something interesting to tell you all. We need not worry about Shola's future anymore. While returning home, I met Chief Lamidi. He told me that a power plant is coming near our village and the owner of the company is promising a job for everybody in every household in the village. Isn't that good news, Iyashegun?
Thank God. I am so happy. Shola's future has been the matter of concern and he's not doing well. And he's always failing in one subject or the other. If the company is giving jobs, then it is so good. I am so happy now. This is good news for all of us.
Mommy, wait a minute. Bami, do you know what the owners of the power plant is proposing? Are they going to acquire lands? Our agricultural land and livelihood is going to be affected. Do you know that there is a process that the owners of the company have to follow to set up the plants?
Is that so? I don't know anything about that.
Bami, I know that there are very important steps that the company has to follow to commission the plants.
I don't think even our community leader is aware.
My roommate Doyin is working with an NGO and was recently talking about these issues. If you agree, I can ask him to come and brief you on the process. Will you like to meet him?
Sure, Shegun. I will talk to Chief Lamidi and others. We can arrange for a meeting with your friend. So my son has arrived from the city this morning and I informed him about the new power plant that is coming into our village and the job opportunities also. My son had a few questions for which I had no answers.
Oh, how is Shegun? It has been a long time.
Shegun is fine.
How is your son? Is he happy in the city? So what are his questions?
He was asking about the location of the plant and if our livelihood was going to be affected in some other ways. He was also asking if the company was following the guidelines before commissioning this plant. These were the questions he raised.
Oh, there are so many aspects we need to look at. I have no answers to any of these questions.
It appears to be a matter of real concern. What do we do?
Shegun told me that his roommate Doyin works for an NGO that is working in this area. It seems he has a better knowledge about this project, and if we all agree, he will ask Doyin to come down here and explain the process.
That will be great. Please ask Shegun to invite his friend immediately. We can also bear his travel and food expenses if required.
That won't be necessary. Shegun will take care of that. Shall we plan for coming Sunday? We can invite the elders in the community and the women group leaders for the meeting. What do you say to that?
Yes, of course. We can invite all of them.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, just called you for help. You know something?
What's that?
Only last week, we were discussing about pollution control, environmental clearance, and the likes.
Yeah.
It looks like you have to repeat that exercise once again. We will need more details so that my father and his friends can understand that there's a proposal to build a government power plant near my village. The villagers are happy because the company has offered a job for every family in the village, but they are not aware of the implications of the plan. I immediately thought you will be the right person to speak about the processes, the rules and regulations, and explain to them what the process is. Will it be convenient for you to come this Sunday?
Sure. I will be happy to come. Meeting under the mango tree outside Chief Lamidi's house. Shegun's father, Shegun, Chief Lamidi, 4 elders in the community, women group leaders, and Doyin explaining the EIA process.
Greetings to you all. Are you all aware of the government power plant that is coming near our village?
Yes, we know. We heard about it.
And the best thing is that we have been promised one job for every person, for every family in the entire village.
Yes, it is good news.
I was also thinking so, but Shagun said there are other aspects that might affect our livelihood and quality of life in the long run.
Yes, what Bam says is right. I came to know about this recently. That is why I asked my friend, Doing, who is working for an NGO and knows the subject very well, to explain it to us.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, sir.
Has anyone heard of the term environmental clearance before?
No,
No,
we
we
don't
don't
know.
know.
What is it?
Seriously, it's everywhere. The Lagos state government has identified projects such as mining, power plants, and so much more to be the cause of environmental pollution, and they potentially affect health and livelihood. So, to set up this project, the project proponents should comply with certain conditions laid down by the government under Environmental Impact Assessment Act to avoid development activities polluting the environment. And even after verifying compliance with the notification and depending on the project category, the Ministry of Environment issues an environmental clearance. Only after then, the project proponents can commission or start.
Oh, is it so? We didn't know about all this.
That is why I called Doing to give you more information about this.
Thank you, Shegun. I will explain more about this. Even before expansion, modernization, or changes in the product mix of an existing project and its activities, project proponents should get environmental clearance from the government. I talked about environmental impact assessment EIA notification earlier, right? Do you remember that? Do you even know what it entails? Listen to the process. The project proponent should submit application forms, that's one, pre-visibility report form, project clearance to the Ministry of Environment. The proponent will make a presentation about the project to appraiser expert committee. Then the Ministry of Environment will issue terms of reference for presentation of environmental impact assessment to proponents. Then the proponents will submit a draft EIA to the Ministry of Environment. Later, the Ministry of Environment will organize a public consultation and submit proceeds of the same to the ministry. Then the proponents will submit their final EIA feasibility report to the Ministry of Environment. The ministry will check adherence of final impact environmental assessment to terms of reference and refer the matter to expert appraiser committee. The expert appraiser committee now completes appraisal of documents and recommends either for clearance or rejection to the Ministry of Environment. Finally, the ministry will issue the clearance or rejection letter to the proponents.
Oh, there are so many procedures involved in it. Why should we worry if the company is going to act at the root, huh?
Here lies the problem. There is every possibility the proponent does not comply with all the requirements. And so, if you are not watchful, we can be in much trouble later.
So what can we do, Doing?
I mentioned public hearing as one of the points under EIA. This is where you can actively participate and give your own opinion.
Public hearing? Please tell us more about that.
Public hearing is a mandatory meeting conducted by officials for all environmental record clearance activities. Here, the project proponent explains the project to the people present. It is conducted to get the opinion of the local people and interested civil society organization regarding the project and impact on the community.
Okay, how will it be conducted?
Good question. Public hearing will be conducted in a place close to the project site, mostly within 1 kilometer of the area. If there is no suitable place within 1 kilometer of the area to conduct public hearing, then other available space closest to the project site will be chosen. For example, if there is a suitable place in 2 kilometers from the project site, the Ministry of the Environment cannot choose another venue that is farther away.
That is okay. But how do we get to know about this venue for the public hearing?
That is simple. Before 30 days, Ministry of Environment will widely publicize about the venue of the public hearing in one English daily and one indigenous language daily in places that newspaper cannot reach. It should be advertised through radio or TV.
Oh, I see. Should I prepare myself before attending a public hearing?
Yes, it is important. Before attending a public hearing, read the form, read the feasibility report, terms of preference and draft EIA submitted by project proponents in order to know the details about the project.
You already told us about the form. What will be in this form?
The form contains current use of land, survey number, utilization of natural resources, and functioning of the plan. This will give an idea about the extent of land to be acquired, its impact on the community, and so many areas.
Okay, should I read the feasibility report?
Yes, you should. To know the critical pollutants, project size, cost of project and environmental mitigation cost, socio-economic mitigation cost allotted in project by project proponents.
Can I attend the public hearing and also send intended response?
Yes, you can. You can attend the public hearing and also send it.
One quick question, Doing.
Yes, Shegun.
If I don't have the expertise to understand the document, but still want to participate in the public hearing, what can I do?
That's the simplest. You can always check inputs from environmental groups and experts who are already working in the space and who have better understanding of the subject and participate.
Oh, okay. So if I am not in the same locality, can I still participate in the public hearing?
Of course, you can, as long as you have valid social and environmental concerns.
Can the public hearing of two projects be held at the same time in the same venue?
No, that's not allowed.
Can a public hearing be postponed?
Yes, it's possible, ma, if there is an emergency or if there's a public protest about procedures that are not being followed, but they should give enough time to the public before the day of the next public hearing.
Sorry, Doing. I think we are bothering you with so many questions.
No, not at all, sir. It's my pleasure. It is nice to see so many people in this village who are interested in this subject.
Doing, is there any restriction about the time and number of people that can speak at this public hearing?
No, there is no limit at all.
If the project is in the boundary of two states, where should the public hearing be held?
Well, in such cases, the public hearing should be jointly organized for the two states by the Ministry of Environment.
Who can send the responses about the project?
Anyone who has the plausible stake in the environmental aspect of the project can do so.
What can we do if the project has been awarded without a public hearing?
In such cases, within 30 days, you can file a case against the environmental clearance at the Ministry of the Environment. The Ministry of the Environment will adjudicate cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests, and other natural resources.
Is it possible for the project proponent to engage in any activity on the land before getting environmental clearance?
Fencing of the land to prevent encroachment and construction of temporary shed for guards are the only two activities that can be carried out before getting environmental clearance.
How long does it take before a project usually gets environmental clearance?
It depends on the size of the project. It usually takes 1 to 1.5 years.
That is long. So once the environmental clearance has been issued, can the project proponent start the construction of the project?
No. The project proponent has to apply for consent to establish with their respective state Ministry of the Environment, after which they can commence.
At what stage can the project proponent acquire the land for the project?
Land acquisition can begin even before the proponents submit the application for environmental clearance.
How can I find the details of whose land have been acquired by the proponent?
Such details can be found in draft EIA reports.
What other details can be found in EIA report?
Draft EIA, project description of environmental based data, demographic, geological details, ecological sensitive attributes in study areas, anticipated environment, social impact of projects, analysis of alternative resources, employment opportunities, and many more.
Oh, okay. If the conditions regarding employment, CSR are not followed by the project, where should we go and complain?
You can send your complaint to the Ministry of the Environment.
Is the environment impact assessment report required for project expansion also?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, it is required for expansion.
Oh, yes, I forgot what you said earlier.
It's okay, Shegun. There's nothing wrong in asking again.
Apart from environmental clearance, is there any other clearance needed for this project?
Yes. It depends on the project and the location of the project. If it is located close to the coast, then coastal regulation clearance is required. Similarly, if it is located close to a forest, then clearance from the forest department is mandatory.
If there is any violation of the EIA process, where should we go and complain?
Any violation at any stage of the EIA process can be reported to the Ministry of the Environment. If the environmental clearance has been awarded for a project with violation, then you can challenge it before the court.
Thank you, Doyin, for explaining in simple terms to our villagers. Thank you again.
No, it's not a problem, sir. It's my pleasure. Any other questions?
No, we have learned a lot today because of you. We will make sure our people participate efficiently in the public hearing when it is announced. We will also request your input for it.
Sure, sir. We will be ready to help you any way possible in order to ensure a healthy environment that will be beneficial to both the present and the future generation.
Thank you so much for coming here to explain about the environmental impact assessment process in a simpler way. Thank you, Doyin.
I am very happy to meet you all, and thanks for this valuable opportunity. The date of the next community meeting was announced by the community leader, and then the meeting ended.
Bluetooth disconnected. Bluetooth connection.
National anthem.
port. Téèyàn bá fẹ́ kúrò láti Sokoto wá sí Badagry, ó wà shorter than going to what? Through Lagos Ibadan Expressway. So there's a proposed road that is coming from Sokoto that will link Kwara, that will come to where? To Badagry. So which means if the port commence and that road is also in place, the tonnage of materials will be high. That is also an advantage for it. So import and export business will increase. Apart from ports, there are also some other facilities that will be within it. One of the major facilities, Toma Wanupe, there will be a petroleum refined products facilities. You only decide who fẹ́ ṣe tank farm. Because àwọn ship tó máa wá èmi máa gbé epo wá. Nàìjíríà àṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní rí epo ń sìn ìlú. Àwọn ibì kan wà tẹ́ pé I expect pé a máa rí epo àti rí epo. Lagos State and a company is mining crude oil off the shore of Badagry. Tí wọ́n bá rí ibo ló máa ti gbé crude oil yẹn lọ. That means there will be a facility. Even tí a bá fẹ́ jẹ́ kó gbé lọ, tó bá fẹ́ refine nǹkan, there's probability. So facility will make available pé there's probability pé wọ́n ṣe kí ni kọ́kọ́ a small refinery or a storage tank that can receive a fuel that can also take crude oil out of Nigeria. Also, there will also be general purpose. General purpose. And when you only ship motor, only ship materials, those are things that also will be there. There will also be a dry bulk Ro-Ro terminal. Ro-Ro terminal are similar to a port. They can contain smaller ships. That's big eru. That is also an advantage. This place will also have a logistic park. You see, apart from having the ocean, we also have what? The Badagry Creek, which joins together. So which means èèyàn lè gbé nǹkan bá inú Badagry Creek, ó ṣe kí ni, ó wá sínú port yẹn. Èèyàn ní láti wọ mọ́tò láti Àlímọ̀ṣọ́, èèyàn ní láti kó ẹrù láti Àlímọ̀ṣọ́, èèyàn ní láti kẹ́rù látọ̀jọ́ gba ojú kí ni, gba ojú títì. Tó bá ti wọ inú Badagry Creek, á ṣe kí ni, á dé port. Ẹni tó bá ní produce, ẹni tó bá ní materials, ó lè ṣe kí ni, ó lè gbàbẹ̀ kó kúrò láti ọ̀dọ̀ wa. The second one, that's sọ pé 10 communities, wọ́n máa ṣe kí ni, wọ́n máa kúrò ńbẹ̀. The 10 communities that are going to be affected.
Our community are affected ni Agorin Sea Beach, Agonvi Sea Beach, Agonvi Town, Aivoji Asako, Gaingbo Sea Beach, Gaingbo Town, Gajiyeketome, Berefu, Okedao, Kujinada àti Yoboyan.
Ẹ má bínú, mo kàn tún fẹ́ re-emphasize nǹkan tí mo sọ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ ni. Òun náà ni aṣojú.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can we please have our seats? I'd like to implore us to please move forward to the seats and occupy the seats in our front, please. Can we please move forward, please? Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome all of us to the stakeholder engagement sensitization for council managers and engineers on mainstreaming environmental impact assessment into project planning and implementation. Can we please still move forward? I see some seats are not occupied. Sir, please. Hey, Chama. Can you compose? Ma, please, can we move forward? There's still seats in the front, please. Okay. The program will start in earnest, but we are still awaiting the arrival of the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Environment and Water Resources. While we do that, I'd like to first of all call on Mr. Abisola Jibril to take us through some of the meanings of EIA. After that, we'll have a film that has been running. I'm sure probably we did not take notes before. So after he does his speech, I'd like us to take note of this video because we'll ask questions after the video. Thank you so much. Mr. Jibril, can I have you here?
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. We sincerely apologize for starting the program late. However, we have enough time to discuss what we are here to do today. And I want to thank you so much for honoring us. Actually, what we are here today is about environmental impact assessment. And I'm very sure most of us here have had this concept called environmental impact assessment. We have been on this in the last couple of years in this ministry. And the essence is just to ensure that all developmental projects that we are embarking on in the state are mainstream into that we should mainstream environmental impact assessment into our project development. And once again, I thank you for honoring us. But before we start, while we await the arrival of our permanent secretary for the program, like I said, we've all heard about the concept of environmental impact assessment. But I want to join us. If there's anybody that just give us what he or she knows about EIA, so that we can just, on a livelihood, so that we can just do a little brainstorming on these issues. So, like we are saying, we are still expecting the arrival of our permanent secretary of the ministry, and as well as the head of the Department of Environmental Impact Assessment. But why is that? I've just been told now that the head of the environmental the HOD of environmental assessment is around. Mr. Olasukomi Sojino, we're expecting you here, sir. Say what? No? Okay, he's still on his way. So, like I was saying, if there is any one of us who has a knowledge of environmental impact assessment, EIA, please can that person come out and just share his or her knowledge with us before we start the program, sir? We have local government here. A lot of our local government representatives, we have at least joined the Federal Ministry of Environment in this EIA a lot, particularly those in Etiosa local government, Ibejuleki local government, Alimosho local government, Ikeja local government, Ikorodu local government. Please, we want. You are welcome, sir. Mr. Sewanu Olasukomi Sojino, the head of the Department Environmental Assessment, Minister of the Environment and Water Resources, Office of Environmental Services. You are welcome, sir. So specifically, can we see someone from Etiosa local government, Ibejileki local government, or Ikorodu local government to come and share his or her experience on this EIA for us before we start the programs? Or any other volunteers? Please, please, ma, you are here because of us, and we are also here because of you, sir. Please, sir. Oh, okay, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, sirs. My name is Olawale Majolagbe from Etiosa East LCDA. I'm a technical officer, higher technical officer, a town planner by profession. EIA is very simple. It's something impact of a particular project to the community. Simple as that. Okay, for instance, we want to do, let's say we want to build a school in a community. First and foremost, before we can build that school, we'll ask, we'll check, what is the impact of that school within that community? Either negative or positive. It could be positive. It could be positive. Fine. The project is good to go. If it's negative, fine. What we do as a town planner or as a professional in building industry, we will look the way and manners to go about it. Maybe to reduce the number of roads, maybe in case of children, like, okay, this is the expressway, children cannot cross, this is that. So many things like that. So that's what I believe EIA is, environmental impact assessment. Thank you, sir.
A round of applause for him, sir. It shows clearly that we don't have any difficulty in having this brainstorming session today. And on behalf of the Honorable Commissioner, the Permanent Secretary, Office of Environmental Services, Mr. Holt. Mr. Olawale, can you please come out, sir? So on behalf of the Honorable Commissioner and the Permanent Secretary of the Office of Environmental Services and the Head of the Department of Environmental Services, I've been directed to give you this as a gift for telling us what the EIA is. Thank you, sir.
Please, a round of applause for him once again. So we will still await the arrival of the Permanent Secretary. While we do that, we'll start the film show and would like us to watch and digest it because we'll be asking questions, like I said before, once again. Thank you very much.
Shegun, working in Metro City as an accountant, he comes to his village to meet his parents. Shegun's mother is excited to see her son and addresses him.
Hey, Shegun, so happy to see you, but you didn't inform us that you are coming.
Mommy, I felt like seeing you, so I came immediately. I will leave in another 2 days. So how are you all?
We are fine, oh.
So where is Shola?
Oh, Shola. He's okay. He will soon come. He has failed in one paper once again, but he's not bothered at all. As usual, he has gone out with his friends again this morning, and your father is so angry with his behavior. Anyway, leave him for now. Let us discuss that later. Okay, how is your work and how is your life in the city? Do you like your job or not? It looks like you have lost weight though.
Oh no, I am fine, Mommy. My roommate Doyin is a very good guy, and we prepare food by ourselves. I prepare breakfast. He cooks dinner for both of us.
Is he also working with you?
No, Mommy. He's doing his youth service and he's working with an NGO. Mami, where is Mami?
He left home immediately after breakfast. He has gone to meet Chief Lamidi to discuss an important matter. It is more than 4 hours now, so he should be back home any time from now. Go and refresh yourself, Shegun. I will get some snacks and tea for you.
So, Mami, how is everyone in the village?
They are all fine, except for Dele's father, who fell down a week ago and is not doing well at all.
Oh, I am sorry. I will go and see him in the evening.
Shegun's father arrives home. He is surprised and happy to see his son. Shegun noticed that he is excited and restless.
Hey, Shegun, what a pleasant surprise. When did you come and how are you?
I am fine, Bami. I came around 10 a.m. Mommy told me you went to Dele's father's house. How is he doing?
He is recovering in the hospital, but still unable to walk.
What happened, Bami? You look excited since you came in.
It's a good thing that you came home. Hey, Iyashegun, you too come here. I have something interesting to tell you all. We need not worry about Shola's future anymore. While returning home, I met Chief Lamidi. Told me that a power plant is coming near our village and the owner of the company is promising a job for everybody in every household in the village. Isn't that good news, Iyashegun?
Thank God. I am so happy. Shola's future has been the matter of concern and he's not doing well. And he's always failing in one subject or the other. If the company is giving jobs, then it is so good. I am so happy now. This is good news for all of us.
Mommy, wait a minute. Bami, do you know what the owners of the power plant is proposing? Are they going to acquire lands? Our agricultural land and livelihood is going to be affected. Do you know that there is a process that the owners of the company have to follow to set up the plants?
Is that so? I don't know anything about that.
Bami, I know that there are very important steps that the company has to follow to commission the plants.
I don't think even our community leader is aware.
My roommate Doyin is working with an NGO and was recently talking about these issues. If you agree, I can ask him to come and brief you on the process. Will you like to meet him?
Sure, Shegun. I will talk to Chief Lamidi and others. We can arrange for a meeting with your friend. So my son has arrived from the city this morning and I informed him about the new power plant that is coming into our village and the job opportunities also. My son had a few questions for which I had no answers.
Oh, how is Shegun? It has been a long time.
Shegun is fine.
How is your son? Is he happy in the city? So what are his questions?
He was asking about the location of the plant and if our livelihood was going to be affected in some other ways. He was also asking if the company was following the guidelines before commissioning this plant. These were the questions he raised.
Oh, there are so many aspects we need to look at. I have no answers to any of these questions.
It appears to be a matter of real concern. What do we do?
Shegun told me that his roommate Doyin works for an NGO that is working in this area. It seems he has a better knowledge about this project, and if we all agree, he will ask Doyin to come down here and explain the process.
That will be great. Please ask Shegun to invite his friend immediately. We can also bear his travel and food expenses if required.
That won't be necessary. Shegun will take care of that. Shall we plan for coming Sunday? We can invite the elders in the community and the women group leaders for the meeting. What do you say to that?
Yes, of course. We can invite all of them.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, just called you for help. You know something?
What's that?
Only last week, we were discussing about pollution control, environmental clearance, and the likes.
Yeah.
It looks like you have to repeat that exercise once again. We will need more details so that my father and his friends can understand that there's a proposal to build a government power plant near my village. The villagers are happy because the company has offered a job for every family in the village, but they are not aware of the implications of the plan. I immediately thought you will be the right person to speak about the processes. the rules and regulations and explain to them what the process is. Will it be convenient for you to come this Sunday?
Sure. I will be happy to come. Meeting under the mango tree outside Chief Lamidi's house. Shegun's father, Shegun, Chief Lamidi, 4 elders in the community, women group leaders, and Doing explaining the EIA process.
Greetings to you all. Are you all aware of the government power plant that is coming near our village?
Yes, we know. We heard about it.
And the best thing is that we have been promised one job for every person, for every family in the entire village.
Yes, it is good news.
I was also thinking so, but Shagun said there are other aspects that might affect our livelihood and quality of life in the long run.
Yes, what Bam says is right. I came to know about this recently. That is why I asked my friend, Doing, who is working for an NGO and knows the subject very well, to explain it to us.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, sir.
Has anyone heard of the term environmental clearance before?
No, we don't know.
What is it?
Seriously, it's everywhere. The Lagos state government has identified projects such as mining, power plants, and so much more to be the cause of environmental pollution, and they potentially affect health and livelihood. So, to set up this project, the project proponents should comply with certain conditions laid down by the government under Environmental Impact Assessment Act to avoid development activities polluting the environment. And even after verifying compliance with the notification and depending on the project category, the Ministry of Environment issues an environmental clearance. Only after then, the project proponents can commission or start.
Oh, is it so? We didn't know about all this.
That is why I called Doing to give you more information about this.
Thank you, Shegun. I will explain more about this. Even before expansion, modernization, or changes in the product mix of an existing project and its activities, project proponents should get environmental clearance from the government. I talked about environmental impact assessment EIA notification earlier, right? Do you remember that? Do you even know what it entails? Listen to the process. The project proponent should submit application forms, that's one, pre-visibility report form, project clearance to the Ministry of Environment. The proponent will make a presentation about the project to appraiser expert committee. Then the Ministry of Environment will issue terms of reference for presentation of environmental impact assessment to proponents. Then the proponents will submit a draft EIA to the Ministry of Environment. Later, the Ministry of Environment will organize a public consultation and submit proceeds of the same to the ministry. Then the proponents will submit their final EIA feasibility report to the Ministry of Environment. The ministry will check adherence of final impact environmental assessment to terms of reference and refer the matter to expert appraiser committee. The expert appraiser committee now completes appraisal of documents and recommends either for clearance or rejection to the Ministry of Environment. Finally, the ministry will issue the clearance or rejection letter to the proponents.
Oh, there are so many procedures involved in it. Why should we worry if the company is going to act at the root?
Here lies the problem. There is every possibility the proponent does not comply with all the requirements. And so, if you are not watchful, we can be in much trouble later.
So what can we do, Doing?
I mentioned public hearing as one of the points under EIA. This is where you can actively participate and give your own opinion.
Public hearing? Please tell us more about that.
Public hearing is a mandatory meeting conducted by officials for all environmental record clearance activities. Here, the project proponent explains the project to the people present. It is conducted to get the opinion of the local people and interested civil society organization regarding the project and impact on the community.
Okay, how will it be conducted?
Good question. Public hearing will be conducted in a place close to the project site, mostly within 1 kilometer of the area. If there is no suitable place within 1 kilometer of the area to conduct public hearing, then other available space closer to the project site will be chosen. For example, if there is a suitable place in 2 kilometers from the project site, the Ministry of the Environment cannot choose another venue that is farther away.
That is okay. But how do we get to know about this venue for the public hearing?
That is simple. Before 30 days, Ministry of Environment will widely publicize about the venue of the public hearing in one English daily and one indigenous language daily in places that newspaper cannot reach. It should be advertised through radio or TV.
Oh, I see. Should I prepare myself before attending a public hearing?
Yes, it is important. Before attending a public hearing, read the form, read the feasibility report, terms of preference, and draft EIA submitted by project proponents in order to know the details about the project.
You already told us about the form. What would be in this form?
The form contains current use of land, survey number, utilization of natural resources, and functioning of the plan. This will give an idea about the extent of land to be acquired, its impact on the community, and so many areas.
Okay, should I read the feasibility report?
Yes, you should. To know the critical pollutants, project size, cost of projects and environmental mitigation cost, socio-economic mitigation cost allotted in projects by project proponents.
Can I attend the public hearing and also send intended response?
Yes, you can. You can attend the public hearing and also send it.
One quick question, Doing.
Yes, Shegun.
If I don't have the expertise to understand the document but still want to participate in the public hearing, what can I do?
That's the simplest. You can always check inputs from environmental groups and experts who are already working in the space and who have better understanding of the subject and participate.
Oh, okay. So if I am not in the same locality, can I still participate in the public hearing?
Of course, you can, as long as you have valid social and environmental concerns.
Can the public hearing of two projects be held at the same time in the same venue?
No, that's not allowed.
Can a public hearing be postponed?
Yes, it's possible, ma. If there is an emergency or if there's a public protest about procedures that are not being followed, but they should give enough time to the public before the day of the next public hearing.
Sorry, Doing. I think we are bothering you with so many questions.
No, not at all, sir. It's my pleasure. It is nice to see so many people in this village who are interested in this subject.
Doing, is there any restriction about the time and number of people that can speak at this public hearing?
No, there is no limit at all.
If the project is in the boundary of two states, where should the public hearing be held?
Well, in such cases, the public hearing should be jointly organized for the two states by the Ministry of Environment.
Who can send the responses about the project?
Anyone who has the plausible stake in the environmental aspect of the project can do so.
What can we do if the project has been awarded without a public hearing?
In such cases, within 30 days, you can file a case against the environmental clearance at the Ministry of the Environment. The Ministry of the Environment will adjudicate cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests, and other natural resources.
Is it possible for the project proponent to engage in any activity on the land before getting environmental clearance?
Fencing of the land to prevent encroachment and construction of temporary shed for guards are the only two activities that can be carried out before getting environmental clearance.
How long does it take before a project usually gets environmental clearance?
It depends on the size of the project. It usually takes 1 to 1.5 years.
That is long. So once the environmental clearance has been issued, can the project proponent start the construction of the project?
No. The project proponent has to apply for consent to establish with their respective state Ministry of the Environment, after which they can commence.
At what stage can the project proponent acquire the land for the project?
Land acquisition can begin even before the proponents submit the application for environmental clearance.
How can I find the details of whose land have been acquired by the proponents?
Such details can be found in draft EIA reports.
What other details can be found in EIA report?
Draft EIA, project description, description on environmental baseline data, demographic, geological details, ecological sensitive attributes in study areas, anticipated environment, social impact of projects, analysis of alternative resources, employment opportunities, and many more.
Oh, okay. If the conditions regarding employment, CSR, are not followed in the project, where should we go and complain?
You can send your complaint to the Ministry of Environment.
Is the environment impact assessment report required for project expansion also?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, it is required for expansion.
Oh, yes. I forgot what you said earlier.
It's okay, Shegun. There's nothing wrong in asking again.
Apart from environmental clearance, is there any other clearance needed for this project?
Yes, but it depends on the project and the location of the project. If it is located close to the coast, then coastal regulation clearance is required. Similarly, if it is located close to a forest, then clearance from the forest department is mandatory.
If there is any violation of the EIA process, where should we go and complain?
Any violation at any stage of the EIA process can be reported to the Ministry of the Environment. If the environmental clearance has been awarded for a project with violation, then you can challenge it before the court.
Thank you, Doyin, for explaining in simple terms to our villagers. Thank you again.
No, it's not a problem, sir. It's my pleasure. Any other questions?
No, we have learned a lot today because of you. We will make sure our people participate efficiently in the public hearing when it is announced. We will also request your input for it.
Sure, sir. We will be ready to help you any way possible in order to ensure a healthy environment that will be beneficial to both the present and the future generation.
Thank you so much for coming here to explain about the environmental impact assessment process in a simpler way. Thank you, Doi.
I am very happy to meet you all, and thanks for this valuable opportunity. The date of the next community meeting was announced by the community leader, and then the meeting ended.
Thank you very much. Can we have the lights back on? Okay, while they are doing that, I'm sure behind my seat, I had somebody say Alimalo. It means that we all, from that video, we understand why we are here. For somebody like me that does not know anything about EIA, this video has really broken it down for us. I understand it now. I know the effects of not doing an EIA, and I know where to go if I want to acquire an EIA approval from the Ministry of Environment. A round of applause for Lagos State Government, please. While we are still waiting for our PS, I'd like to invite to the top table the chairman, body of council of managers, body of council managers, Mr. Olujobi Adegbola, to the top table, please. You're welcome, sir. I'd also like to invite the Director Engineering, Igbogbo Bayeku LCDA, Engineer Olusegun Orelesi. To join them on the high table, I'd like to invite the representative of the Director, Admin and Human Resource, Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tumishe Banjoko. To join them is the representative of the Director Accounts, Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Michael Sesi. A round of applause for him. The PS and the Director Environmental Assessments will join them in due course. I'd like to invite Mr. Abisola Jibril again. Please put your hands together for him. I've been directed that we'll have to do a self-introduction. So we'll mention our name, the council that we represent. Thank you so much. I'll start with you, sir.
I greet everyone. Fasino is my name. Fasino Kaindi, Council Manager, Egbedimu, STD.
Good morning, House. My name is Engineer Rafa Mojisola, Kokaguda SCDA.
Ariola Shodipo, Council Manager, Shomolu Local Government.
Adeyemi Adebola, Council Manager, Ojokoro LCD.
Owolabi Adenike, Bariga LCDA, Council Manager.
Tanaike Folake, Council Manager, Tori LCD.
Good morning. Bosimola Otai Kokoka, Council Manager, Papa Local Government.
My name is Engineer Okwaifa Aziz, Council Engineer, Papa Igom LCD.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Engineer Vaughn from Etios Local Government, Council Engineer.
Abadije Nojim, Council Engineer, Mushin Local Government.
I'm Babajide Olaya, Council Engineer, Bariga Local Council.
Hello, everybody. I'm Engineer Idouje, Council Engineer of Okwaja City.
I am Engineer Oni Martins, Council Engineer of Awori Local Government.
Mrs. Jagede Mota, SCDA.
Orija Odiolowo Ojuwo LCDA.
Olawale Majolagbe, Etiosa East LCDA.
I'm architect Olushola Olatunjo, HOD Works, Ikorodu North.
I'm Engineer Sholola Ibikun Ibrahim, Council Engineer Olonda SCDA.
I'm Babin Tinayola, Onibongo Local Government.
Engineer Genti Olumoyewa, Council Engineer Lekki LCDA.
I'm Engineer Owolabi Adeni, Council Engineer Amu of Local Government.
Engineer Yusuf Jero, Badagry Local Government.
Fumilayo Said Taiwo, Minister of the Environment, Monitoring and Enforcement Department.
Engineer Jagedolu Afemi, Ikede SCDA.
Engineer Yodeji Shodipo, representing the Director for Works, Shomolu Local Government.
Tolulope Johnson, Agege Local Government.
Mrs. Sefeyota, HOD Works, Ikosishere LCD.
Builder Mrs. Efe Adesanya, Koshofe Local Government, HOD Works.
Engineer Amosu Shamseden, Alemosho Local Government.
Alimi Hello, Isolo SCDA, HOD Works.
Engineer Bola Miga Daudu, HOD Works, Ikoyi Obalende LCDA.
Shilola Oi, Badagry Local Government.
Olawale Abib, Ibogo Bayeku, Local Council Development Area.
Okusanya Oludamilola, Alimosho Local Government.
I'm Majid Gadneyo, Egbedimu LCDA.
Femi Joseph, Ikeja Local Government, Council Engineer.
Sam Sidin Babatunde Odeleye, Council Manager, Igoro Ikoton LCDA.
Engineer Giwa Olashe, Odiolowo LCDA.
Adeko Olubisi, Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Environmental Planning Department.
Obisha Felicia, Minister of Environment, Sanitation Department.
Good morning, everybody. Moronkeji Okwonu, Council Manager, Papa Igomu.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. At the beginning of this program, we started by asking us to share your experience on the concept of a EIA. And we still want to go back to that. We all watched this video very keenly. And I'm sure that we will have learned one or two lessons from the video. Why I will not let the cat out of the bag, I also want any one of us to share with us what I know what is in that video, but I'm sure that a lot of us also understand what is there. But if we can have anyone who can share his knowledge or his experience on just based on that video, so can anyone any of the participants come out and tell us what he or she has learned on the video? Or in summary, it's just a business process for EIA in Lagos State. Business process as in what to do, how to be involved in the process of approving EIA for developmental project. But there are still some issues there that are very, very critical, which I expect that should form part of what we are taking home today. So I don't know if you can still help us, sir. Yes. A round of applause for him, sir. All this time, should we have a woman to join us? Any mama, okay? Because EIA, when you talk about socioeconomic aspect of EIA, it will really involve women a lot. Any one of us who has seen an EIA report, if you go through chapter 4, there's a section there called socioeconomic section. It talks about women, men, the kind of occupation they do in their community, how much they earn per day. So all these things are part of the study that will be undertaken when you are conducting an EIA. So please, we want our women folk to also join us here and share the results after Mr. Olawale's.
Good morning, sirs. Good morning, sirs. Good morning, ma'am. Do the video we just watched not quite long. What I noticed and what I learned more about the video is that, and that what I've been thinking for long. This is when I joined the local the LCDA, the local government I'm working. I noticed the political class we are working with and the community we are dealing with. Most of them, they don't know the meaning of EIA. They are not aware. So I would like the ministry to maybe do publicity on EIA, the importance of EIA, how important it is. I'm very surprised. I don't know how would the community say, okay, we want something from the local government. What do you want? Sir, we want healthcare center. Fine, no problem. Which area do you want us to? They took us to the market center. How possible can healthcare center be in the midst of markets? It's not done. It can't work. It can't go. So, sir, due to the video I just watched now, I noticed that the community people don't know the meaning of EIA. So is that the little guy, the guy that came in, explained to them the purpose of EIA and the reason why they need to do EIA before they can embark on any project, sir. Thank you, sir.
A round of applause for him, sir. Thank you so much. Like I said in the beginning, I'm very, very sure that this will be an interactive section. And we are showing that here. I want the female gender to come out and share. Okay, thank you, ma. Thank you, ma. Strictly on the video, sir, ma. Were you here when we played the video, ma? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. All protocol duly observed. My colleagues here present and the environmental people that sensitize us on EIA. From my own perspective, from my own view, what EIA means is from urban and regional planning. And we need to sensitize the villagers. The villagers, I mean the occupiers of a particular area. because most of them, they don't know what it entails and they don't know the procedure of having a market in a particular place or an health center. Number one, in where I worked first at Ibejuleki, then I'm one of their members in urban and regional planning section. So when they come for assessments, they will take it to the town planners, and the town planners will tell them this and this is what it entails. But the villagers will not agree. They will tell them that no, that is where they want to site their PHC or any other things. But when they go through the larger plan of that area, which has been high-marked by the Lagos State, that that place should not meant for PHC, it is meant for market. So anytime they build, the villagers now, they are stubborn there. They will tell them, no, government does not reside here. We are the people residing, so we will not agree with the government. They will purposely build it there. So in the nearest future, when the government now says they want to use that place, they will now be running back to the council that people they now shouting and do all sorts of things. So they will now come back and see us. Then we said we relocate them because they are massive land at that area. So we now relocate them and the government will make use of that place. But normally there are some places that the government will high mark for plane air crash. What I mean, there are some places that government will high mark for filling stations. But these so-called town planners that will work in hand, they will tell them that it's meant for residential, that they will have to write and write up on it, that is what they call EIA. When they write up on it, then they can now reschedule that place from filling station to residential zone. That is all I can say on. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mommy. Okay, ma'am. Let's engage another female.
Good morning, everyone. I just really want to say something about this impact assessment. Like the community in Ikorodu North, Odonla to be precise. I'm told that long before civilization got to that area, there are some factories whereby they melt scraps. But recently, estates have gone into that area, buildings more residential. I remember also every time I go to that side, you find you just come back home sick because of the pollution and everything oozing into the environment. You see it all over. Not only that, road that leads into that community, no matter any remedy you make, but because of the trucks and the coming in, is there accident or they are falling over each other? So I said, these people must have written impact assessment far. Then it was maybe years before development. I think environment should please help us review this, because the impact of that building, and it's not just that, I'm just using that as an example. Because I remember when I was doing my professional exam as an architect, we were told about federal secretariats after it was moved out, and they wanted to turn it into housing. The people in Koyi rose up and said, no, the impact assessment, the impact of this building coming to become housing will not be good for us, because the crowd, the parking, it wasn't meant for, it's supposed to be an office. You can't just turn it. Until now, you see that the building is still trying to know what to do about it. So but the community in that area, they only see it like our video said, that is, and they will give us job. Fine, they go for job, but they come back sick. They go for a job, but they are roads, they end up hours on traffic. So if we could please go back to, especially those areas that we have pushed those factories, to see the impact they're really creating on the people and the community. So that my own view is just, please let us, so that the people too could also know that they can come and speak. Like we heard that they could come for public hearing, so that it won't just be dying in silence. So please, let's review all those plans and the way they impact the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. There's a man who has just raised his hand up. Let's, please, sir.
Good morning. My name is Engineer Daudu Bolamiga John. I work with Ikoyo Balindi. Standing on existing protocol, EIA, Environmental Impact Analysis. This is going to be a little bit assessment. It's going to be a little bit expository, and it's going to be a little bit of advisory. If you go and check very well in Lagos State, most of the EIA they do, mostly it is the monetary aspect that they are very, very interested in. Let me pick from what the last speaker just spoke about. In Odola, go there recently. There are almost 3 or 4 entrances that goes into Odola. For there, the big trucks are supposed to pass through a particular place. But when the Lagos State government fixed one of the road, most of those trailers started passing through that place. If you go there now, the road is nothing to write home about. Recently, even a lot of electrical heavy works is being taken into that area, where some houses has just been marked for demolition. Houses that has been there for 10, 15 years, now marked for demolition. If actually there were environmental impact assessment that was done, now those people would not be having such an issue. And I've never seen where public hearing has been set up for people like this, except for town hall meetings that has just been arranged when political things are going up and down. But I think they need to redirect it. Maybe they should put it in more perspective that many people that are in the villages. Let's take, for example, when I was in Igogbo, we wanted to build the office complex. We had to pull down about 4 buildings. We did an environmental impact analysis, but I was asking the the town planning guy, of what importance is this environmental impact analysis? This building is still within our secretariat. It's not bringing so much people in. It's still the same setup. But because it's part of the requirement for approval, we have to do it. So don't let us look for that you have to go through this process. Some process does not really matter in approval process, but because that is the laid down principle, then that is why we have to go through such issue. But if that of what do you call it now? The public hearing, I think if you work more on that, I guess we will have a lot to talk about environmental impact.
Thank you. Let's just have the last person.
Good morning, everybody. I am Olabi Adeni, the council engineer. I'm a ward of local government. Sincerely speaking, all the earlier speakers have spoken quite well. But then, when I watched through the video that was shown, I don't just see it as an impact analysis of a thing, just like that alone. Really, it's just a way of opening people's eyes to what they don't know. The villagers actually did not know that they have authority to challenge anything until somebody had to come around to tell them that it's not because somebody said we are going to do this here and just say, okay, go ahead. You have the right to challenge. You have the right to ask questions. They don't know whether there is anywhere where people will have to sit down to discuss this thing. When they don't know they have right to ask questions, how would they even know that they have right to even sit down somewhere? They don't have all this knowledge. But the video actually tells us that there is always an opportunity for everybody to speak on any project that is coming to your community. In as much as what government actually wants, or what government actually wants from the residents of every area, is for you to own any project that is coming to your place. How can you own a project that you don't even know how it comes about? You don't know what impact or what effect is going to have on you.
and the nature around you. There are some companies that their existence in a community will lead to the death of aquatic animals of that area. There are some that all the trees will start falling. They start getting dried and falling. All these things are things that has to be done before we go. That is, there's supposed to be a sociological survey of what is happening in that area. When you bring this in here, what will be the effect? If you don't know the effect in the first place, you don't have anything to ask. But if you know the effect, then you ask further questions that if this is this, what will now be not a matter of giving job to everybody in the community. If you give them job and they all start with one sickness or the other, of what effect is that to them? So sincerely speaking, I don't see it as just a mere environmental impact assessment of a thing, but a kind of enlightenment to show people that any project that is coming to your area, you have right to speak. Thank you.
A round of applause for our first speakers. So, in fact, it shows clearly that we are on the right track on the implementation of the AIA in Lagos State. A round of applause for every one of us here. On this note, I gave out a glossary of terms. A glossary of terms the other time. This glossary of terms was developed by an environmentalist. It was not developed by the ministry, but in his own wisdom, in his own way of contributing to the sustainable environment in Lagos State, he developed this and brought some copies to give out to people. Now, I've given out one to Mr. Olawale, and with the permission of the head of the department, sir, I want the session to assist me. Two women spoke much earlier now. So who should I give now? I want to give it to women. Please assist me. Which who? The first one. Okay, thank you.
My name is Engineer Jagadolua Femi from JDSCDA. Permit me to say this, that what we are discussing now is not new. But I must tell us, in the implementation of every policy in this country, we are not being sincere. I want to appreciate one of the speakers that just said that we are so much interested in the monetary aspect of it. The video we watched, pointing everything back to Ministry of Environment. But I want to ask, I need the sincere answer. Right close to Alausa here, pollution to landfill. From time to time, pollution of the environment. And I know that from time to time, they are carrying out environmental and social impact assessment. And they are reviewing it every day, every year. And there are a budget for it. But the question is, what have they done? What have been the effect of all this study? Have you witnessed any positive change? It's good to have town talk like this. It's good to always sit down and talk. But the greatest crime is not to do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you. The issue that have just been raised, it's not that the ministry is not aware of all these issues, but I can tell you that the Lagos State government, through the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, is making serious effort at addressing these issues. And I'm very sure when the program commences fully, the head of department will speak more on what has been done so far. Thank you.
Please put those hands together for Mr. Jibril. Thank you very much. We'll be going on to our first lecture. And the topic for that lecture will be mainstreaming environmental impact assessment into developmental initiative in Lagos State. And this lecture will be taken by a director in the Ministry of Environment. Please put your hands together for Mr. Lasisi Adedoyin.
Thank you for the introduction.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the permanent secretary, we just want to apologize for a little delay. He's attending to another state function. However, we are here not to give lecture. We are here to interact with each other. If you look at the local government and you look at the state's ministry, it's like a father having children. So we are here talking to each other as families. Some of the issues we are going to discuss today may affect some of us. Maybe some of the projects we are going to use as case study may be projects within our local government. It's not to discredit the local government, but just to make the state better for us. Like the last speaker said, some of the projects the state is also doing are also guilty of some of those things. It's a learning process for everybody, both the states, the federal, and the local government, and also the citizen. This is just, that's why we are doing this engagement. Let's engage with each other. Let's sensitize each other. Environmental impact assessment started in the United States in 1970, and it did not come into Nigeria not until 1996. So when it started in the United States in 1970, and we started it in Nigeria in 1996, you can see the difference. So most of the projects that we are having in the country started before the implementation or even before we coined the term environmental impact assessment. So we know that invariably some of these projects will affect us and will continue. So how do we move forward? That is why we are here. What do we want to do? In the next few years, we'll be implementing projects in our local government. As the council managers, as the engineer, the council manager, you represent the state. It's the permanent secretary in the local government, and hardly will any project get approval without the council manager's knowledge. So we want a situation whereby will carry us along. The political heads comes and go. A council manager can be there for 6 years, and probably 2 chairmen of local government or chairperson will have been there. So we want sustainability in our projects. We want environmental activity incorporated into projects, and that's why we are here. Can you help me with the light? First slide. So everybody wants to talk about environment. You know, we'll say, okay, I'm good in environment, but it's like an issue of the watermelon. The watermelon is green outside, but it's what? It's red inside. If you look at Lagos, we always say Lagos is dirty. Why is Lagos dirty? That means we Lagosians are what? We are dirty. Because if Lagos is dirty, it is not the atmosphere, it's not the land that is polluting itself. It's the characteristics of human being that is there. People litter the road, we hit in our car, and we throw it outside. So it's a reflection of ourselves. So it is not, when they say Lagos is dirty, it surely shows that we ourselves are the one that is what? That is dirty. Next slide. This is Abu Dhabi in 1970, and this is Abu Dhabi now. It's surprising. I know some of us heard about Dubai. We heard about all those Arabian countries. There's even a story that the king of Saudi Arabia normally come to UCH in Ibadan for medical treatment in the early 80s. And we have to go there now for medical treatment. How did we get there? So look at Abu Dhabi in 1970 and look at Abu Dhabi now. Next slide. That is Tunumbu Square in 1970. That is Tunumbu Square now. They are moving forward. We are going backward. So if a person, the great-grandfather of people in Abu Dhabi wake up and decided to come back, I'll say, my children, they tried. But if our grandfather decided to come back to Lagos, what would they see? They will not be happy. They will not be happy. We have degraded the environment in Lagos beyond what our forefathers left for us. When you look at livable cities in the world, what is our ranking? Lagos is 138. A survey of where people wish to live, top people, businessmen wants to do business, Lagos is 138. Vienna in Austria is number 1. Melbourne in Australia is number 2. Lagos, we are what? 138. And some of us are happy to be proud. I'm a Lagosian. I'm a Lagosian. I live in Lagos. I'm an economy.
and our ranking is not anywhere globally. So, what are the parameters used to measure livability of a city? You want to live in a city, what do you use to measure it? Stability, healthcare, culture and environment, education, and what? Infrastructure. What do you put there? Basically, one thing that is very, very important is culture and environment. How your environment looks like will determine how investors will come to you. So that is why environmental sustainability and environmental impact assessment is very, very key. In the beginning, we have been hearing about environmental impact analysis, environmental impact assessment. They are two different things. Analysis is the one the physical planners normally do, while environmental impact assessment is the one for Ministry of Environment. So they are two different. We have been considering environmental impact analysis for project approval, but we have not been considering environmental impact assessment. So what people are fully aware about is environmental impact analysis. It's just an analysis, not what? An assessment. If somebody decided to do an assessment of something, if just somebody decided to do an analysis, you see that there are two different things entirely. SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. Let's look at Nigeria ranking, 160 over 165. The whole world that ranked about Sustainable Development Goal, Nigeria is 160 out of what? 165. And if you look at the developmental goals of 1 to 17, we have only 2, that is green for Nigeria. We are only trying in what? Climate change and one other. Others is what? Red. Which means sustainable development means do something that your coming generation will be happy about. You want to use the environment, you want to use nature so that children coming after us will be able to what? To use it without jeopardizing their structure. But our ranking there is what? 160. So children are not even happy to stay in Nigeria. They want to jump out to Canada. Because their future is better in Canada, their future is not better what? In Nigeria. And can everybody leave Nigeria? No. So the best thing for us is to what? Make the place livable, make the place useful so that everybody can what? Can live there. Next slide. And that is one of the key trust of this present administration. The teams, which is the policy for the working of this present government, says each and every arms of these teams is tied to sustainable development. And for us, the H, health and environment, is key. How do we contribute to this policy trust of this present administration? And that is why we are here. So, under the health and environment, the state government has done a lot of things. The clean water and sanitation, healthy lifestyle, public enlightenment and advocacy, waste management, and infrastructural development. Each and every one of these is tied to how a person lives and how a person survives. Last week, the state government, in conjunction with United States Embassy, decided to start a campaign on air pollution. Why did we decide to start that campaign on air pollution? Because the air pollution index in Lagos is very, very bad. Air pollution kills people more than accidents in Lagos. But because people don't just fall on the street and die because of air pollution, we are not taking cognizance of it. But statistics and record are showing to us that we need to take care of what? Of the pollution. And that is why the campaign started. So, what is this environmental impact assessment? It's not something that is new. Our forefathers in the olden days have started. Socrates in the 5th century said, let who will move the world first complete an environmental impact assessment and a 90 days public comment period. This is the 5th century. Socrates has said it that before you do anything, carry out an environmental impact assessment of that thing first. After doing that, put it to the public. this is what I want to do. Wait and get comment of public for 90 days before you what? You implement it. Which means while you are displaying it for 90 days, people will make comments. You should have done it this way. Why can't you add this to this? Why can't you add this to this? That helps you to what? To modify your project. That helps you to look at comments. You know, indigenous knowledge and knowledge that you cannot just sit down and what? And look. I often tell people, you want to do a project in a community. Yes, we can do the EIA. Let's welcome the Permanent Secretary, Office of Environmental Services, Dr. Gaji. You're welcome, sir.
The Permanent Secretary, Directors of the Ministry of Environment here present, Council managers and engineers here present, participants, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to officially welcome us to the Stakeholders Engagement Sensitization for Council managers, engineers on mainstreaming EIA into project planning and implementation in Lagos State. I'd like to let us know that environmental impact assessment is a tool used to assess significant effect of a project or developmental proposal on the environment. EIA makes sure that project decision makers think about the likely effect of a project on the environment in order to avoid, reduce, or offset these effects. Before we go ahead, I'd like to quickly run through the introductions once again. I'd like to introduce the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, Office of Environmental Services. Please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Omobolaji Gaji. You're welcome. I'd like to also introduce the Director, Environmental Assessment Department in the Ministry. A round of applause for Dr. Olasukomi Sojinu. We have also on the high table the representative of the Director Admin, Human Resources from the Ministry also, Mr. Tumishe Banjoko. Also, we have the representative of the Director Accounts, Mr. Michael Sesi. I have also the Chairman, Body of Council Managers, Mr. Olujobi Adegbola. The last, by no means the least, is the Director Engineering, Igbogo Baeku, LCDA, Engineer Olusegun Orelisi. To officially welcome us into the program, I'd like to invite the Director, Environmental Assessment Department, Dr. Olasukomi Sojinu, for the welcome address. Please put your hands together for him.
The Permanent Secretary, Office of Environmental Services, Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, Dr. Omobolaji Tajuddin Gaji. The Chairman, Body of Council Managers, all senior directors here present from the ministry, all directors here present from the local government, the various council engineers here present, my colleagues from the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this all-important stakeholders engagement workshop. This workshop, which has as its theme mainstreaming environmental impact assessment into the development initiatives in Lagos State, is not only apt but also timely, coming at a time that all hands must be on deck to ensure sustainable development in the state. Environmental impact assessment is a critical safeguard instrument that has been adopted across the globe as a tool for protecting the environment and public health. It has as its objective early identification of likely impacts of a proposed project, both adverse and beneficial, that could result from the activity for a proposed activity or project, and preferring measures to either eliminate, reduce, or mitigate the adverse impacts. Therefore, AI has become a major management tool that any nation that is determined to achieve sustainable development cannot afford to sideline. This is why the state government, through the ministry, has continued to take necessary steps in enhancing compliance with the AI process and improving stakeholders' participation. Permanent Secretary and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as you are all aware, the focus of the Babajide Sanwo-Olu-led administration is to move Lagos forward through the implementation of the team's agenda with long-term improvement on the living conditions of the citizenry. You also agree with me that local government areas and local council development areas, the LGs and the LCAs that are present here today, are the cornerstones for the realization of the objectives of this agenda as they implement various projects that are expected to impact on the lives of the people at the grassroots. There is no doubt that while these projects come as sharing news, they also bring along with them environmental impacts, ranging from pollution of the air, water and land, and destruction of the already fragile ecosystem, loss of biodiversity, and sometimes loss of livelihoods. These impacts must be identified and quantified through the environmental impact assessment process. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today's workshop is born out of the need to bring all relevant LG and LCDs together to be on the same page with the ministry on the importance of the EIA in project development and implementation. It is hoped that this workshop will improve our understanding of the EIA process, enhance our participation and compliance by the various LGs and SDAs, and improve the lives of the citizens of Lagos. On this note, I once again welcome you to this workshop. Thank you for your attention. God bless you.
Please put those hands again for the director. Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to invite now the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Office of Environmental Service, Dr. Omobolaji Gaji, to read to us the keynote address for this event. Please put those hands together for him.
First, I want to apologize for coming late. I had one or two other places to attend before I come onto the ship here. My apologies. I hope my apologies are accepted. And then, please. The Director of Environmental Assessment Department, our own Dr. Olasukomi Sojino, Pastor Olasukomi Sojino. The Director of Engineering Department, Igbobo Bayeku LCDA, Engineer Olusegun Orelis. I believe he's the chair of engineers around. The chairman body of council managers, Mr. Adebola Olujobi. All council managers and engineers present, all directors from the ministry, our dear participants, invited guests, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great pleasure to have you here and talk about this AIA matters. And I believe that heaven help those who help themselves. So we all are in position now, but when we get out of that situation, because we can't stay there forever. But I believe that whatever we do now is what we will benefit from later in life. So if we plan our environment, if we plan all the Lagos State master plans should be adhered to. The environmental impact assessment, the physical planning measures, and every other thing that we're supposed to plan very well and make life more suitable for us later in life. Because as we get older, we won't be able to do what we have been doing some years back. And I believe that it is pertinent to know that this is the reason why we have called everybody, so that we all work hand in hand. So we won't work in silos, so that we won't be that where the ministry will say this while the local government has said this, so that we all work together and be on the same page when we are giving approval for whether it's small things or big things. Because we need to conserve our environment, we need to make the environment more suitable for us by making it more healthy for us, because in old age, our immunities come a bit low. So we should prevent things that will predispose us to going back and forth to the hospital later in life. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to be here this morning at this important stakeholder engagement workshop. This workshop is designed to bring together all state actors at the local government level to discuss the critical role of environmental impact assessment in our collective strides towards sustainable development in the state. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that it is no longer news that Lagos remains the preferred destination for many businesses operating within the various sectors of Nigeria's economy. This preference can be likened to a two-sided coin. While on one hand, it is cheering news as it opens us the state to economic prosperity and growth. On the other hand, it comes with various types of environmental and social challenges. The establishment of industrial facilities, creation of new settlements, and construction of infrastructure all come with huge adverse environmental impacts, ranging from pollution of the environment, air, land, and water, to sometimes irreversible environmental degradation, if not properly managed, so that we don't have to use the scarce resources to be curing things that we can prevent, so we can use those money for other developmental issues. It is for this obvious reason that the Lagos State government, through the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, has adopted the application of environmental impact assessment process in ensuring sustainable implementation of developmental projects in the state in line with the global best practice. Environmental impact assessment is a formal process for identifying the likely impacts that may arise from a proposed activity or project on the environment, human health, and social economic activities. In essence, EIA helps in identifying the likely adverse and beneficial impacts of a project with the aim of putting in place measures to reduce or mitigate the adverse ones. Thus, it is a critical environmental management tool that must be embraced by both private and public sector if we are to achieve sustainable development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to reiterate here that the state government under the able leadership of Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu cannot afford the huge cost of addressing environmental degradation and ecological challenges resulting from unwholesome project development activities, sand mining, and the rest of the environmental degradation infractions. The cost of doing the right things is cheaper than the cost of remediating or correcting the consequences of refusal to do them. This is why, as a ministry, we have committed ourselves to creating awareness on the need for participation and compliance with the EIA process in the state. To this end, we have developed the Citizens Guide on EIA to educate members of the public, provide them with required information on EIA process in the state. We have also embarked on stakeholders engagement meetings to several local government areas in the state, with the latest one held in Badagry local government area secretariat in August 2021, where the AIA report of the Badagry Deep Sea Port and Free Zone project was discussed. I mean, we are about to commence the ones for this year. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, EIA has become a global decision-making tool by policymakers in protecting the environment, with nations across the globe enacting laws, setting stricter standards to ensure compliance, and Lagos State cannot be an exception. It is, however, worrisome that while we continue to see improvements in the level of compliance of the private sector players to the process, this same cannot be said of the public sector. Some local government and local development council areas have continued to execute developmental projects in the state without environmental impact assessment. This situation portrays the state government as adopting double standards by insisting that private individuals and corporate organizations comply with the process when government arms on their part are not. This workshop is aimed at reversing the trend by encouraging LGSCDA to mainstream EIA into their developmental initiatives. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I welcome you to the workshop, permit me to reiterate that protecting our environment is our collective responsibility as we strive to improve the welfare of Lagosians through implementation of the various laudable projects of this administration and your local administration. We must do so in a sustainable manner. We must ensure that we are not creating new problems as we try to solve the existing ones. I wish you all fruitful deliberations and thank you for listening. God bless you.
Please keep those hands going for the permanent secretary. Thank you very much. Please have your seats. From the speech of the PS, I'm sure that we would all understand that henceforth we should try as much as possible to incorporate EIA into every project so as to assist in policy making. Please put your hands together again for the permanent secretary. We will continue with the lecture that we were taking before he came in, but I'd like to humbly request that the men at the top table move to this other side so that we can also enjoy what we are going on. Thank you very much, sir. The PS will be taking his leave now. Sir, before you leave, sir, can we take a group photograph, sir? Thank you very much. Want to take group photograph before the PS leaves? Thank you so much, sir. Okay, we'd like to mix we're gender sensitive. Can we have the engineer that took our prize? Ma, can we have you on the, yes, ma. And the second engineer also. Architect. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you very much, sir. Can we have those seats? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sorry for the break in transmission. So we can continue now with the business of the day, Abby. So what is all this thing that we are talking about EIA? Yeah, what is EIA? So basically EIA is not only about environment. EIA sometimes is about the business. EIA is about the community. EIA is about health. It's about interaction with each and every person. So that's why EIA is not something one person can do. It's a multidiscipline system where a sociologist, an expert, an engineer, a chemist, a sociologist, name different fields. It depends on the project. So you cannot replicate an EIA of one project and replicate it for another project. That is why EIA, it's something that covers everything. So today we'll be talking about introduction on EIA. Why do we need to mainstream EIA into our projects? What is the objective of EIA? What is the principle? What are constraints that we often encounter? What is the benefit of EIA and what is the way forward? So if we look at that picture, the value of one single tree. Look at the shade from just one single tree. Imagine half millions of that tree in that community. That is what environment is all about. We cannot quantify the impact the nature gives to us. Also, creating value for environment is not just about tree. It's about how we design it. A bus will take 70 people. That bus will also what? Can also convey 70 people via a bus, a car. But imagine 70 people with 70 cars. The emission from 70 cars cannot be compared to what? Emission from one bus that is taking 70 people. So you can see, you want to do a project. You want to do an urban regeneration project. And you said, okay, let's buy 70 vehicles. And somebody said, no, let's buy one bus. Yes, you are justifying why you are buying one bus because the emission that will come from 70 cars is not what to come from what? One bus. But in terms of monetary value, yes, if we buy 70 cars, we'll gain what? We'll gain money, but we'll lose what? The environment. Yeah. So the world is becoming globalized and the world is becoming urbanized. And we'll be implementing projects that has not been done before. We want to introduce initiatives into our local government. We want to introduce things into our local government. But how do we introduce them? Do we take environmental consideration? Do we take people into consideration before we design? EIA is not after designing the project. No, that is not what we are saying. Fiscal planners can say, okay, after you design, bring it for physical planning approval. No. EIA, while you are designing, let Ministry of Environment be with you while you are designing. We don't want to change your project, but we just want to what? Modify it so that it can suit everybody. So the environment can be broadly classified into the physical, the biological, and the social. So sometimes it is not a physical structure that we put in that affect the environment. It can be the interaction of people with that project that what affects the environment. It can be the social setting of that project that what that will affect the environment. So we need to take everything into cognizance. And you know, I said sustainable development is something that is very, very key now. How do you ensure sustainable development? How do you ensure that the environment is green? Basically, infrastructure are classified into three. We have the brown, the blue, and the green. The brown infrastructure are the structures we put there, while the blue infrastructure are the water we try to what? Maintain, while the green one are the urban greening we introduce into it. Basically now, for planners for sustainable development, we are advocating for more blue and green infrastructure than what? The brown infrastructure. For most engineers now, there's what you call sustainable engineering design, where you want to use less materials. You want to use materials that are what? Environmentally friendly. And that is the key thing, because we know that the more we put brown infrastructure there, the more environmental degradation it will lead to us. So these are cities around the world. We will look at cities around the world and we'll see where we are. Where can we go that we can walk 30 meters in Lagos and we just see greening? Maybe Badagry, Ekwe, Ikorodu. That's where we can only see. But we cannot go to anywhere in the city center of Lagos and see lush green. It's not possible. Everybody wants to what? We want to develop it. So you can see. And that is what we are trying to do. While we are implementing programs, let's put greening into what? Into our program. Not just planting flowers. No, planting flowers is not what? It's not greening. People say planting flowers. No, planting flowers is not greening. Let's incorporate greening into our what? Into our design. We want to see structures built by local government having rooftop gardens. Rooftop gardens. If we have rooftop gardens, they can help us to absorb water. So instead of much runoff in the city, the rooftop gardens will have what? Will have helped us. But we want to have water harvesting. I keep on telling people, because we are not charging. In California, you can't just drill borehole. The water abstraction rate you will pay for the city of California, it's more than the water rate you pay, because they are stressed with water. So anybody cannot just what? Have borehole anytime. It's funny in Lagos, it's funny that we will drill borehole, clean water, and we use it to wet flower. We drill borehole and use it to wet flower. And rainy season, all our water gets what? Wasted. We have a lot of water during the rainy season that we can what? Harvest, store, and use it to what? To wet flower. But we use treated water and use it to what? To wet flowers. It doesn't make sense. Nature doesn't make sense. Engineering, financially, it does not work. Does not make sense. Let's go. These are pictures of cities that Lagos also we want to be like this. We want to be like this, but we cannot continue. The rate we are doing things in Lagos, we cannot be like other cities. We cannot be like other cities. So it is our responsibilities as managers, both in the local government, in the state, in different ministries, to implement projects that will make Lagos to be a sustainable city. So this is Lagos. Like I said, if you look at what our forefathers did, the Adeniji Adelays, the Shita Bays, the Saros, our forefathers in Lagos, they left Lagos that is very clean for us. This is Marina. That's Barclays Bank. That is now First Bank. And this is the same place. This is how our forefather left it. This is how we are managing it now. It's appalling, and it's something. Are we developing or what? We are going down. So where do you want to live? We want to live in a world that is clean, or the world that is what? Sick. It is for us to choose. So Like I said, we'll be showcasing some projects from local governments. We are not using it to discredit any of the local governments. So if your local government is part of the project, no, it's just random. It's just random. So just let us use it to learn the lesson we want to do. So are the projects we are doing in local government helping the state to be green, or are the projects making us to be what? Brown? Each and of, or at the end, we will determine it ourselves. It's just for me to just give the example. And we, all of us, what? Will make the conclusion. So by law, local governments are in charge of markets, primary schools, public health centers, inner roads, public toilets. Sometimes we also issue permits. We also issue permits for auditing, and we also issue permits for product activation. Auditing, by the law of the state, a person is supposed to drop his construction materials in front of his house a day. That is the auditing permit. And it should not last for what? More than a day. But that is when people drop their construction materials 1 week, 2 weeks. And when it rains, the rain will not be able to flow in the drain, and everything goes to what? On the road. So when we issue the auditing permit, we should try and see that they do the needful. So this is Shango Tedo Market. For my brother that is from Etiosa local government, this is Shango Tedo Market, an ultra-modern market commissioned by Mr. Governor in February. However, while we were designing the market, we did not consider solid waste management. We did not consider solid waste management while we were what? Building the market. We did not consider traffic impact. We did not consider how the vehicles will move in around the what? Around the market. So now, they now put the waste bin in front of what? In front of the market. That is the waste bin in front of the market, openly in front of the market. So that waste bin that is in front of the market, number one, the site, I want to come and buy something inside the market, and there's a waste bin inside of it. Psychologically, it has what? It has affected. So people who are the Tush people in Lekki will not want to go to what? To that market. So instead of me going to that market to buy Momo 50 naira, I would rather go into ShopRite and buy that Momo 500 naira. 1,000. Because you putting a waste bin in front of the market alone has affected the psychology of the person. So I won't go into it. That's one. Number two, if you are going to Abidjan, you are going to Shango Tedo in the evening, that waste bin has taken half of the road. It takes us an average of 3 hours to move from Abramade Soya just to cross Shango Tedo in the evening. Just 3 hours. All because a waste bin was introduced to what? In front of the market. We should have designed where the waste of the market would be while we are what? Planning for the construction of the market. Now, they now build the market so close to the road. So close to the road, there's no proper ingress and there's no proper what? Egress. So when vehicles are coming into the market, there's a tailing on the road. And when there's tailing on the road, there's no other traffic down. Air pollution continues, and what? The air pollution index in Lagos continues to what? Increase. So you can see just building a market alone, it has had what? 3 different environmental and social impact on that community. So if I'm living at the back of that market, my house is at the back of that market, you have put a waste bin there, I can't come in. People say, I can't come and greet you. Call you to me, they'll come and see you. 3 hours, I'll spend it on your road. It has affected my social life. So psychologically, it has affected me. My property value of my house has what? Has gone down. So that is why, even while we are designing that project, while we are designing the market, let's look at how it will affect the people around. The next one. This is a new market. I don't know. Also in Aja. This is where I stay, so we know ourselves. So this is Aja. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Lagos State government, we in Lagos, we always like opportunity. We like opportunity in Lagos, whether state government, whether local government. I know immediately Lagos State government do road, Ministry of Housing, they will know that we have one land there. they will quickly want to build an estate. They will build an estate because Ministry of Works has just constructed a new road. However, they did not calculate the capacity of the road to the new estate they are what they are doing. Immediately the estate starts up, traffic will start. Hey, we just constructed that road. Yes, we just constructed that road. But when we are constructing that road, we did not plan for the influx of people that will come into that place. And this is what happened. The chairman and the people in the Etiosa local government decided to just do a new market because they feel it's an open space. Look at the market. It looked like pig pen. Yes, I called and I said, no, that is not a market. That is a pig pen. Globally, the world is changing now. We just passed through a pandemic. There's probability of us witnessing another pandemic. Monkeypox is spreading in 81 countries now. We just finished coronavirus. Monkeypox is spreading now. Imagine building that kind of market where people cannot even move around. Where people cannot move around. If we do a lot of social distancing, how would they do social distancing inside this market? How would they do social distancing inside this market? There's no parking space. It's an official market in Etiosa local government, Etiosa East, just by Aja. Because they know that Lagos State government do a bus park. They quickly use that advantage. I'm serious. I'm serious. Let's go to the next. See, that's it. No, I don't know why fiscal planning did not. In fiscal planning law, that should be sent back. We government will go and mark private people that you are building house, you are attaching it to the wall. We government are the one that is what? We are the one committing that offense. We are the one committing the offense. Next picture. So, while they were planning that market, they did not plan about what? Refuse bin. They now put the refuse bin by the side of the road. They now put the refuse bin by the side of the road. And that road that is normally clean all the time, immediately they introduce that market. If you get there now, you see heaps of refuse. You see heaps of refuse. And it's funny. It's funny. If you want to buy electronics in Lagos, where will your mind go to? Alaba. If you want to buy pepper, you go to where? My 12. Next slide. This is a market constructed by Senator Oluremi Tinubu inside Okera. The market is not occupied. It's in the same local government. The market is not occupied, and we are building a market that is not even convenient. This is a market that has a lot of car park, that has a lot of things. Not occupied. And we are building our market close to the road. And the major factor, question and answer section will come. The major factor to traffic in Lagos is the location of our what? Of our markets. Sanitation problem in Lagos is related to what? To market. So if we can locate our markets properly, we will solve most of our traffic problem and we'll solve most of our what? Sanitation problem. You see where EIA comes into it. Next slide. People said there are street markets in other countries. These are street markets in other countries, but it's well organized. Well organized. There's street market in London. It's in Peckham. It's in Netherlands. It's in every country. It's in China. But it will be well organized. They will have put every structure and everything into what? Into place. Next slide. So, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Abi, Etiosa, Ikoyobalende local government, they came to us. They came to us and said they want to use the setback. And we said we want to do EIA. They beg us, we are the same government now. We are the same government now. They force us. Okay, you understand that project? We gave them the go-ahead. They built this. That is Ikoyi Obalende local government. The introduction of that project has constituted degradation into that community. I grew up in Obalende. It is when they introduced that project that people start parking on that road. That is when we start having that water. That was not there before the local government built those places. You built an office, you built an health center without no car park. So that means people should park on what? On the road. Next picture. See, this is a student that is coming from where? From school. If you are used to that place, the Dodon Barrack is there. While we were growing up, we will walk from Antioch on the sidewalk up to Obalende. But the sidewalk we used to walk is where the local government built their office. We are making the life of that child at risk because we have exposed the child to what? To accident. He should use the sidewalk, but we have turned our sidewalk to what? To office. And which is not even adequate because there's no car park, there's nothing there. If you just take a drive and go to that place and see whether that project is what? It's actually there. But when they came to us that time and we were saying, no, we will not allow this project. Mr. Governor, Veja Kashi project, our guys, Ministry of Environment, they are too difficult. Now, we are too difficult, but we can see the what? The effect. So, in other countries, most countries are removing structures. Most countries are removing structures so that people can have what? Sidewalk, bicycle. There are some in Austria now. By next year, there are some streets, there are some area you can't go with cars. It's only what? Bicycle and what? Walking. Bicycle and walking. People are becoming more obese. Lifestyle of people are becoming more threatening. So government want to what? Introduce people to do more work and even cycle. If somebody tried that in Lagos, this is public toilet in Lagos State. This is public toilet in Lagos State. Local government. So this is public toilet in another country. This is public toilet in another country. Go to that picture back. This. You understand? So, which means we don't have to spend huge amount of money to build what? Public toilets. We don't have to use huge amount of money to build public toilet. We can change our design. We don't need to use concrete to do what? Public toilet. This is sustainable development at its what? At its best. It is cheaper, it is more effective, and it looks nicer. The first picture, if they ask me to go to public toilet at this place, I think it's a ghetto. I won't go there. So I prefer to do it by the side of the road and use this word, public toilet. And we say, why is open defecation and urination general in Lagos? Because the kind of public toilet we are building does not befit people. Even whether that person does not have education, he will want to go to that place. Next slide. So this is primary health care, one of the functions of the local government. This is a primary health care in Lagos State, in Nigeria. So imagine a woman that wants to give birth. It's not coming on a stretcher. Look at the elevation. Look at the elevation. You understand? All over Beni. You understand? This is a primary health care center built in Nigeria. So in terms of environmental sustainability, people did not put it in this. Imagine go back. It's raining. That tank can even fall on the patient. We did not think about the risk and everything that will come from such projects. This is a primary health care center. This one is in Alausa. I'll mention it. Because this is Ojodu, primary health care center. Close to high tension, go back. Close to high tension, look at the drain. So there's no matter you treat mosquito inside this primary health care center, mosquito will still bite the person. It's just see open drain close to it. You understand? We can see the dimension in location of our project and the environmental what? Setting around it. Next slide. This is another primary health care. This is a primary health care center. Even if you are not sick, you want to go to this hospital. If you are not sick, you want to go to the hospital, you will see. Go back. See. Look at the environment. It's beautiful. If they give birth to a child and they come out of this health care center, you know I do. But fine. You understand? This is the kind of what I'm coming to. So these are the kind of things we need. These are the kind of things we need. Let's improve our project. Let's improve our project. We have been doing it, not that we have not been improving it, but we want us to put environmental consideration into what? Into them. Next slide. So you can see why we need EIA now. We can all see why we need EIA in our project planning, in our project design, in our project implementation. So what is environmental impact assessment? And why is our environmental impact assessment different from what? Environmental impact analysis. They are two different things. So study to assess the potential impact of a project or a program. Sometimes it may not be a project. It may be a what? A program. I'll give you a program Nigeria introduced, polymer currency. We introduced polymer currency into Nigeria. Within a year, we withdraw it back. Why? Because all the nylon naira was what? We were just cutting. They were just cutting. We did not look at how people save money in this part of the world before we introduced the word, how we handle money. How we handle money. We did not look at it. So if you squeeze polymer money, in the next distance is what? Get destroyed. But the paper currency can still withstand what? The stretch and the whole. So sometimes it is not about project, it's about what? Program. It's about program. You want to do immunization. When do you want to do the immunization? I see some people, we are doing immunization not during holiday period. And some churches, they come to my church, we want to stop your service to give the children immunization. The parents of the children are not in my church. I can't just allow you access into children to give them immunization when their parents are not there. So sometimes some program, we need to just sit down, look at the setting of those programs before we roll them out. Okada. We cannot ban Okada in Nigeria because Okada is the most useful tools by politicians. You empower people by giving them Okada, and you want to ban the Okada. Who does that? It's very simple. You will not be able to fix this out. So it is now left for us to start doing empowerment program, that will what? That will change from that aspect. So it's very, very important. It's very, very important. Some of our programs and policy that have implication on the environment needs to be what? Needs to be changed. Yes, the chairman of the local government, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what my people want. Okay, you buy grinding machine. Buy a grinding machine for somebody that does not have a house. Automatically, you put the grinding machine by the side of the road. He will put it by the side of the road. So when you put it by the side of the road, the council want to ask the person to pay trade permit. Say, I can't pay trade permit now. They become chairman of the fish empowerment now. He didn't tell us myself trade permit now. You understand? To put the waste on inside the drain and everything. So sometimes our program and budget needs to be what? We take the consideration into it. So it consists of systematic investigation into both the positive and negative effects of a proposed development project on the nature and what? Human environment. Sometimes a project may not affect the environment. It may be the people living in that place that the impact of the project will be upon. So sometimes that needs to take cognizance of it. So why do we conduct EIA? And what kind of project do we conduct EIA about? We've talked about those ones that really concern us. So projects are basically classified on high risk, substantial risk, moderate risk, and what? Low risk. Not all projects will do big EIA reports. No. Some, it may just be, we'll sit down and look at the consideration. A report may not need report. If the project has low risk, you may just do, okay, what are the mitigation effects? Somebody wants to build a poultry. Somebody wants to build a poultry. The local government wants to do a poultry. It's not a large poultry. Okay, what are the impact of this? Okay, the birds it's causing smelling and all that. Okay, the kind of feeds. There are new feeds now that even the fowls of the blade don't smell. So we will have told all the people that we are empowering that these are the kind of things we do. But if you want to do a poultry that is 10,000 beds, 1 million beds, there is need for what? for EIA on that. Next slide. Next slide. Let's go. So why do we need to mainstream EIA into our projects? So by July, August now, we'll be doing the 2023 project call and budget call by our local government. So it is that time we'll sit down. Okay, these are the projects we want to do for 2023. Does this project need EIA? We are available. That is why we are being paid. You don't have to pay us any money. Just send us a letter or make the list to us. These are the projects our local government will implement in 2023. Before we start doing the BOQ, before we start looking at this, can you come and let us look at it together? We don't know your local government more than you. You know the environmental setting of the local government more than us. But our contribution, our experience will help you to, okay, can it face here? Can it face here? Let it be here. Let it be here. Those are the things we want to do. Not that when you implement the project and we start serving notice, we start doing this, I say, but we're all working for the same government. Yes, we are working for the same government, but let us do what is right. So what is the objective? Anticipate and avoid risk and impact. When we do that, the impacts that project will cause will have what? Anticipated it long ago and find out what? Mitigation measures. We'll have find out mitigation measures. I heard we were talking earlier during the interaction that the local government wants to build a new secretariat inside the old secretariat, and we demolish some building and we are building it. There's nothing bad in doing elevation offices and we park the car under. There's nothing bad. It will just add little pillars to it. We are not building 50-story, we are not building 30-story. So even it will allow people to move within the secretariat free. Most of the local government secretariats, if you go around now, for you to move, you do what? But if we have designed the buildings to the extent that we can do what? Car park under the buildings, it will be what? Easy for us to what? For staff to move around. Next slide, let's go. So I said there are things, environment is changing. And if we don't change into it, what will happen? This is what happened last year. This happened last year. We just wake up in Lagos, 5 hours rain, the OCMS is flooded. At least for the past 20 years, we have not witnessed this before. And this is the beginning. What we see here is what? Is the beginning. This is going to be more and more. So which means anybody that wants to design any building in Lagos Island, you should be ready to design underground car park or underground reservoir for what? For water. Because this rain, it got up to City Hall, Old City Hall that day. Yeah, it got up to Old City Hall that day. The whole of Nitel, First Bank, all their basement get what? Flooded. So which means anybody that wants to build to any coastal area in Lagos, your elevation have to be what? High. So you just use ground as what? As park or just store. Because the tide of the rain in Lagos is becoming heavier and what? Higher. Surprise is the new normal. Yes, I said it. There are things we've not seen before that will just be what? Will just be coming. For Etiosa local government, for Ibejuleki local government, the kind of coastal erosion we are witnessing in that place is what? It's unexpected. It's unexpected. So if you are building roads in that place, if you want to do any project, that means you have to incorporate what? The erosion into what? Into our design. If we don't do that, we'll do the project, and after 1 year or 2 years, the project got what? Just got washed away. No, let's go. So everything is connected. As we have seen, everything is what? Connected. Social, health, and what? Infrastructure. So we can't say because I'm the engineer, I won't call I want to build the hospital. I won't call the nurse. I won't call. Let's have stakeholder. Why we are even what? Designing the project. It's cross-cutting. Let's call each and everybody. Let us sit down on the table. We want to do a new primary health care center. Yes, and we want to do a new primary health care center. How many rooms? The doors of the room are even doing it. The women are becoming more robust now. And if you do a door that does not allow a woman to pass in, how do you do it? No, that statistically, that is it. So, principle of effective EIA mainstreaming leadership is key. And that's why we are calling the people that are key. Council manager is key in the local government. Council engineer is very key. We are starting with the leadership before we start training the younger officers. Leadership is key. There's no chairman that will not want to listen to his council manager. There's no chairman that will not want to listen. I'm saying it, there's no chairman that will not want to listen. So if that's why it's very, very important for us to make it what? Interactive. Integration. How do we integrate it? New approach, new design into it. Dialogue. We need to dialogue. Yes, the community, part of the question, the community wants us to have this project here. But when we do what we call environmental setting and look at it, we often convince them that no, we can't put it here. I'll give you an example. 65% of schools in Lagos State, primary schools in Lagos State, are located beside markets. 65% of primary schools in Lagos State are beside market. Market is known for noise. School is for what? A noise zone area. How do you put a school beside a market and you expect our students to be brilliant? No, they cannot. So while we are teaching them, there's already distraction for them already. If local government is in charge of schools, go to all primary schools in Lagos State. All primary schools in Lagos State normally have people selling paraga by their wall side. And you expect primary school children not to be area boys. They will, because right from primary school, they will not eat paraga. They are used to alcohol. They know it. Let's have social factor. And so let's start removing the social factor. Let's start removing those social factors. Okay, so which means we can't put market by school again. So let's start looking at the social factor. Okay. So ownership, the entire mainstreaming process should be under the full responsibility of the country or locality in question. Let the people who want to do the project let them take ownership of what? Of the project. Don't let us sit down and design the project. After designing the project, we don't go to the community and go project. No. Right from the conceptual activity of the project, let's carry them along. That will make them to see what? Ownership. I feel call primary care for you, but primary care, I feel call check a colony to my face by ni, a bit to my face by. Akwa bolefe. You understand? I need design. We don't have a design. You people, okay, tell us the kind of design. Show ni arc shape, ni aboni flat shape. They will have seen that at the end of the day, when you bring out the design, anytime the local government wants to bring project, they will be eager to what? To quickly help. Because they can see their what? Their contribution in the design of what? Of the project. Next slide. So, what are the key constraints? The key constraints are things that we all know. Lack of political will. The chairman, I'm the chairman of the local government. No, community by loan latiwa. This, yes. Chairman, community by loan latiwa. But I won't come by. You want to do it? Do it. After 2 years or 1 year, we do project appraiser. After a year, we do project appraiser. And when we do project appraiser, we'll point it to you. This is what you want us to do. This is it. We are pointing at your own now. We are pointing at your own now. It's not something that is just now. It's not about the chairman there. We've been telling the chairman of Etiosa local government long before. Long before. There's a market beside VGC. There's a market beside VGC built by local government that has been turned to housing. People are renting it now. Yes. I grew up in that community. I know everything about that place. People are living in that place. That's supposed to be market. And people are selling on the road in Nigeria. They are saying there's no market. Yeah, okay. So understanding and awareness, what we have done today now has opened everybody's mind that yes, we need to do more for the what? For the environment. Lack of data and information, yes. For us to plan, for us to implement projects, we need data and information to what? To assist us. We need data and information to what? To assist us. So, which means the Office of Statistics in Lagos State and the community officer can also what? Be part of. We want to do primary health care. Yes, we want to do primary health care. I must put it in this local government. Chairman, this local government, community. Community 300 people who are, they need primary health care now. These people, in your team, they can only walk 5 minutes to another community wise that's an health sector. But where the 100 people who are, they are not what? There's no this thing. They will walk 2 hours, they will do this. So that gives us what? Justification, because there are data that we can use to what? To back it. Lack of skill and human resources. Yes, we need to do training more. We need to do training more. These are new field. We want an engineer to design a sustainable project. You want him to design a green building. That means you have to what? Send him for training. Send him for training. So when Estab is doing project call, training call next time, we need to what? Put it into it. Don't let us just be building alone. Let's do sustainable building. Lack of funding. Yes, funds are not available. Yes, funds are not available. But sometimes you can minimize fund by doing projects that are what? That are less expensive. We look at that public toilet. Most of the public toilet we are always thinking about is concrete one. But the one we saw is not concrete, and it will reduce our cost on it. Awareness of available tools, lack of access to methodology and tools. By the time we continue with this engagement, everybody we are learning. We are learning from, we did this with MDAs last year, with different ministries last year. We are doing it with the local government. Next time we are doing it with private sector. The knowledge from our colleagues, the knowledge from the local government, we'll use it to what? To talk to what? The private sector. And that is the main purpose of this. Let's go. Let's go. So other factors, we'll share the slide so that we won't waste our time. Benefits, yeah, the benefits are enormous. The benefits of incorporating EIA into our projects are enormous. We can see when we introduce EIA into project planning and implementation, we will even be happy when we implement the project and people will commend us. What is the way forward? I said it carry Ministry of Environment and Rural Resources along in your project planning and implementation. While we are designing the project, let us come together. Let us talk. Seek EIA sign-ups. There are some projects, yes, like Alabarago, the new Alabarago market. 2 years ago, the local government sent the design to us. People are just hearing that they want to demolish it now. But the planning of that market has been on for over 3-4 years. They've sent the design to us. We have looked at it. Office of Drainage Services have looked at it. And you understand. So some of the projects that you see will have heavy higher implication, get a sign-off from us. So we may seek an executive order from Mr. Governor that local government should not do some category of projects unless the ministry do a sign-off. But before we do that, we are what? We are talking to each other now. So that before the executive order comes in, we will have been what? Implementing those practices. So when the executive order comes, ministry won't there, so far, no, we don't want to do that. That's why we are doing this sensitization. So that any project that is bigger, that you feel it will have environmental impact, get a sign-off from the ministry. Carry us along so that we can. So green is the new black. No, not just that, okay, they ask us to do sustainable building, this thing, just do one building and paint it green. No, green is not the new, it's not the new black. And it is not about greening. Greening is not, okay, they want us to do something about the environment. you put a horse to ride a car. That is not greening and that's not sustainable development. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the attention.
Please put those hands together again to appreciate Mr. Lasisi. Having listened to what EI is all about, I'm sure we're probably wondering, okay, so how do I go about the process in Lagos State? To do the process, tell us about how to go about the process. I'd like to invite the Director, Environmental Assessment, Dr. Olasunkomi Sojinu. He'll be taking us through the EIA process in Lagos State. Please clap for him, please.
Once again, I want to say thank you for your time. I want to really appreciate all the council managers and the council engineers here. It's not easy to bring a council manager out of the council. They are big men and women in their own rights. Please help me celebrate these very big men and women from the local government. So we found it a real privilege to have you here, and then to also have you waiting since 10 o'clock in the morning. My deepest apologies. Somehow we didn't know that another department was having a program, so our programs coincided. And the person who is in charge of that department is my senior. So the PS gave him the honor of going to his own first before coming to my own. You know how the service is. That's why we started a bit late. Once again, I'm truly sorry for keeping you this long. I hope I'm forgiven. Now, because of our time, I may not want to take you through a slideshow, because I have a slide I would have loved to take you through, but because of our time, I will just take you. I'm sure you have this material with you. Good. This material explains all I will be saying. So this summarizes all I will be saying in the next few minutes. But let me once again thank my head of EIA unit, Mr. and soon to be Dr. Lasisi. We like book too much in our department, so because what we do is about reading, so we have to. We don't have a choice. So help me celebrate him for a very well delivered, presentation. To just add a few things before going into this is to say that we are also as guilty as you are in the local government, also in the state. And so it's not about trying to indict the local government. We are all in the same boat. We are just bringing about a new thinking. Because if we must live here on this planet Earth, we can't continue to do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. They say it's only mad people that do that. So if we must get a different result, we must begin to do things differently. The earth does not need us to survive, but we need the earth. We need the earth. And so it is our responsibility to protect the earth. And what EI is all about is to protect the earth so that we can still be here. And so if we think we have done our own, we are living, we have children. Our children will have children. And then they may be cursing us behind us. We will have gone, but they are pronouncing curses because of the way we manage the environment and what we left for them. Am I communicating? And so it is our collective response. Let me give you how guilty the state is. For instance, if you move through Alimosho and you move through Igondo, you will see how we located a hospital, a general hospital, very close to a dump site. A general hospital. Even in the animal farm, they don't do that. Where you have nurses being trained, you have people. We have a hospital. In fact, it is possible that you go there, you come back with the sickness you never went there with. And we are here in the ministry. We just woke up and saw a hospital. So we have had this interaction with our state MDAs. You don't do things like this. We all went to school. In fact, even if you don't know anything about EIA, it is common sense that you can't have a dump site beside a hospital. It is common sense, just that it is not common. And we had an incident in that dump site where there was fire and the whole hospital, smoke everywhere. And they were evacuating patients. And we said, it is as you lay your bed and you lie on it. And so it is not about indicting the local government, but we just want to do things now differently. Lagos, if Lagos is the pace setter, what kind of pace are we setting? So we need to set the pace right. So if you see the document in your hand, it explains clearly our business process for the EIA. And let me also say this, we are not doing this for revenue. As a matter of fact, if it is a government project, there are policies as to whether we can collect money or not from local government. Are you getting me? But if your local government, somebody is approaching you and say he wants to do a market, for instance, don't just give him approval for the market. Ask him to subject that proposal to an EIA consideration. I don't know if you are getting me. Now, I was joking with my colleagues on Monday when we were having the departmental meeting. I said, it's even getting a point now when you have to do an EIA for marriage. Because you are just dating the guy and you made a mistake, he slapped you, bah. You don't know that that is a red flag. You need to do social impact assessment of your living together. So it's not, no matter how you think the project is, whether small or big, let's just look at it first and say, no, this does not require any EIA, just go ahead. Or we could say, this requires an EIA, but not a very robust study. You just need to do this and do this and do this. And there are those we could say, this must go through EIA, even if it belongs to the governor. Some years ago, when we still were under Governor Babajide Raji Fashola, he was about to build his own personal building, I think about 11 floors or so, at Oniru, somewhere there. And the file was taken to physical planning for normal planning approvals, and they have to bring it to us for EIA. And we told the fellow, it was go through, it would do a comprehensive environmental management plan as a report. And the fellow says, it is governor's project. I say, I saw the file. I know, I saw the name. So I wrote normal letter that we write to every proponent. I wrote it and I sent it to the person. And the governor said, go back to environment and do exactly what they ask you to do. Those are the kind of leaders we want to have. Not those who will say, who is that guy? Call him to come to my office. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So that's the kind of thing we want to do. We want to begin to think differently. So the first step is to submit a letter or a proposal of what you want to do. That letter should have details of what you want to do, maybe in terms of reference of how. But for conducting EIA, just like you have it in conducting environmental impact analysis in planning, we also have accredited environmental consultants who also do EIA. Just like you have registered town planners doing environmental impact analysis. So you need to but the first thing you need to do is to first write, I want to do so thing. Will it require an EIA? So once we clear that it won't, you don't need to go further. But we want to say it will, then you need to get an environmental consultant to do that for you. Of course, the project will be registered with the ministry for record purposes, and that attracts a payment. And then when that is done, we will review the documents you have submitted and we will come to site for site verification. The purpose of the site verification is to see whether that project can actually be located there. If you want to do a community water project and you are locating it 100 meters from a dump site, from a public toilet, we will say to you, no, because there is no way 100 meters, even 200 meters, 300 meters from a dump site, there is no way you will avoid groundwater contamination. So if you are going to be doing a public water in that place and you are drilling a borehole, you are going to be poisoning the people, particularly public water that will not go through treatment. It is just from borehole up. You understand? Thank God these days we are now putting pumping machine now, not the one that you do like this. You are punishing the man. You know those ones now that you have to whine and whine. So we will come to the site to see whether that project can be there. We'll see the environmental sensitivity, we'll see the size of this location and see whether, okay, you can be here. No, it can't be here. If you must be here, you need to redesign. So that is the purpose of the site verification. And then, of course, when the site verification is done, we will approve the terms of reference to ask your consultant to go ahead and continue with the study. And of course, there is field study work. When the TOR is declared, there is a field study work where your consultant has to go to the field. The difference really between our EIA process and the physical planning one is that we do a lot of exhaustive studies. We will do air sampling. We will take soil samples to the laboratory. You will take groundwater samples. If there is a surface water body that you will take, you will study vegetation, you will study wildlife, you will study every media of the environment. So it is a very comprehensive study. That is why people run away from the EIA process. So your consultant will go to the field and do the field study, and then do laboratory analysis, compile the results together, and produce what we call a draft environmental impact assessment report. That draft report will be submitted to the ministry. But permit me to say that in the process of doing the field work, we want to witness it that you're actually doing the field work, so that you do not stay in Igbobo and you are writing a report on your table in Igbobo for a project in Badagry, and you have not been to the place before. But because you have information, you just put them together. We are not asking you to do a desktop study. We want to see you when you are doing the air quality monitoring. We want to see when you took the soil sample. I hope I'm communicating. So that is the process. And then when the draft EIA report is submitted to us, what we normally do, depending on the project, is that we will set up, the Honorable Commissioner will set up a panel to review the report. Now, the panel usually will consist of experts that has to do with the project. For instance, if your local government decides I want to do a mini power plant of 2-3 megawatts, for instance, we are going to bring people who have expertise. You will have electrical engineer there in the panel. You will have maybe 1 or 2 other engineers there, structural engineers there, apart from those who have expertise in socioeconomics and all the rest. So we have a panel that will review the report and say to you that this report you brought is making sense or it doesn't make sense. You can't get approval. And then when the report is satisfactory, an approval is given. I hope I've communicated. That is just to summarize this instead of going through a whole lot of these slides. Once again, I want to thank you for your time.
Please put those hands together for Dr. Sojinu. I'm sure that everybody here today has been enlightened, informed about what EIA is, the process that we'll go through to obtain our approvals, and the need for us to also have a synergy from the local government and the state government so that in all our reports and approvals, we can cross all the T's and dot all the I's. Thank you very much for coming. I'd like to, at this moment, inquire if you have any questions or comments as regards what we have been talking about since morning. If we do, can we please signify by raising up our hands? We'll be taking 5 questions in all. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6. Only have, I'll start with the female. Engineer Desaya.
Good afternoon once again. I want to thank the last speaker, the facilitators that gave us all what we need to do. My question goes thus. At Odoyalaro area, there is a construction going on there. So I want Dr. Sojino to throw more light on it, because that is my local government. And the chairman is proposing to relocate the chemical market people to that area. And we've taken steps, but up to now, there's nothing yet. We have as well gone to the PS, the Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs. We've been there. That's yes. So I want you, sir, to throw more light. Thank you.
Do we take it one after the other or take everything together?
Good afternoon, everybody. Please permit me to stay on the existing protocol. My name is Ademola Balogun from Etiosa local government. I quickly want to appreciate the ministry for organizing this kind of a program. It's a very, very sensitive and important one as far as the development in Lagos State is concerned. I also want to thank my brother, the first lecturer. I have met you before. You remember I called you this morning before coming to this program. And I am not surprised. I appreciate God for having you as a brother so intelligent and brilliant. You have done a lot of justice into what we are doing or what we have to do. I know vividly, as per what our people used to say, is that charity always begins from home. You have made the Etiosa most of your case studies because it is your area. That is where you come from. And so we are not surprised we are having it that way. So we cannot allow others to come and be talking to us that you are criticizing or you are saying this about other places, why your own place is like this, why it's like that. So we thank God for it. So, and like I said, the program is a very, very good one. Adjustment will be made where necessary. At the same time, I want to employ the ministry to also inculcate into their program what other people normally do the moment there's after election concerning the local government election. There is always a workshop, seminars for the local government chairman. I want this ministry to be part of it. Please organize that kind of a program to the chairman of after any election of the local government, so that most of these things, they will see it and they will not be compelling the council manager and the council engineer that I said, this is what I want, you are telling me something else. No, do this and that. To the extent that the council engineer may want to dance to the tune of the chairman. We all understand what I'm talking about. You also realize that some of these things were as a result of the migration into Lagos State. When my brother is doing comparison in the 80s, this is Marina, now this is CMS, and so on. Yes, it's like that. In those days, we know how Marina was. We know how many people were in Lagos. And today, you know the inflow of people that are in Lagos. Lagos has a very, very limited land, and at the same time, so much populations. So what do we need to do? A lot has to come from the government. Who are the government? We are the government. When we are talking about the state government, the synergy that has to be between the state government and the local government should continue to exist accordingly. For example, quickly, I have a project that was brought by my honorable in the House of Reps in Abuja through the SDG. And what they used in doing quotation was Adamawa land and all other places that they have a solid, that they even have to break the land. And the project was brought to Etiosa. And I'm telling these people, come, you cannot do this thing like this here. You need a raft. You must do a raft before you do it. No, if he does it like that, there will be no money. The money will not finish it. This is what they gave him to do. A lot. He's an Hausa man. We argue and argue and argue a lot. At the end of the day, he agreed with me in putting just two board raft. And I'm telling you today, only that two board raft saved that project. It's an earth center project. Only that two board now saved the project. The whole compound of the project is flooded now as I'm talking to you. It's an hospital. Can you imagine an hospital where it's flooded and people cannot go in? They had a lot of equipment in it. There in Ethiopia, I'm telling you as I'm standing here. The project is there. The materials and everything needed for the hospital to function has been put in there. But the whole compound is flooded. Only because of the way and manner they approved the project from there. I don't know what the state government can help to do to all this. The project of Adamawa should not be the same as what they are bringing to this local government in Etiosa. It's a riverine area. Etiosa is between the Atlantic Ocean and the lagoon. So a lot of consideration has to be put into this. So I quickly want to tell this honorable house and the organizers of this, the ministry organizing this program, that it's a very good one, a laudable one. We should continue with this at interval. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
Please, I'd like to implore us to please make our questions and comments very, very short, please. Thank you.
Well done, sir. Well done, ma. What I want to talk about, I want to talk about the Shangotedo market. The man is not on seat. Anyway, okay, sir. Concerning you showed Oluremi Tunumbu market. It's not that they don't want to occupy the market, but the flood is disturbing them. That's why the market is not there. It's not that we are wasteful in our local LCDA. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Engineer Ayodeji Shodipo from Shomolu Local Government. I have 3 questions. Yeah, my first question is for the first speaker. I want to ask, do you have any registered consultant to get an EIA draft? That's for the second speaker. Now, for the first speaker, how sustainable is EIA to MOE, that is to the Ministry of Environment? Then my last question, you showed us our pitfall at the local government that, building, erecting, this and this. Now, I want to share more light on your pitfall. The issue of environmental sanitation why is it abolished in Lagos State? If it can be revived back, the issue of our drainages, the issue of flooding can be, if you can shed more light on that, I would really appreciate it.
I'm Yusuf Deo, the Council Engineer, Badagry Local Government. I just want to ask the major similarities between environmental impact analysis and environmental impact assessment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will try as much as I can to respond to these questions. Well, let's start by showing you details about the project that Madam asked question about. That is playing now, so you just listen.
And approach roads was flagged off by the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, on the 26th of January 2022. The details of this project and everything you need to know about this project is explained in this video, courtesy of Lagos State government.
Commuters from Okwebi will be able to connect the new garage and Ojota end via the link bridge, underpasses, and decompile over the existing drainage channel.
So, Madam, you can see it's a state government project, and it's a project that has been in the budget of Lagos State government since 1970. It's a link. Instead of when you're coming from Ojota, you're going to Okwebi, instead of it to go to Maryland, it's to divert traffic. So this is the design. It's going to turn the whole place into green and environment. So relocating people there, project so fún chairman yín kò sílẹ̀ ńbẹ̀ o relocate àwọn èèyàn lọ síbẹ̀ o. Lagos State government has a master plan for that place. So, and this is the design of what will come in the next, I think, 2.5 years. The project will be finished in the next 2.5 years by Julius Baja.
And the second, which allows a direct.
Thank you. We can continue with the others.
The link bridge.
So, Madam, in EIA, there's what we call alternative location, where you consider either alternative project or you consider alternative location if a location is either not suitable or not available. So tell your chairman, Eleyi, Ìjọba ti jẹ eléyìí o, is Enugu. I'm not sure the PS local government will answer you at all on that matter, because it's coming from the red biro, and I'm not sure he can do anything about it. So thank you very much. We take seriously your suggestions, sir. We want to thank you for that suggestion. It will be one of the recommendations from this meeting that we should hold such workshops with local government chairmen, particularly after elections, for them to also have an understanding of what we are talking about. Yeah, so that's okay. We are taking that on board. Now, yes, we have environmental consultants that are accredited. Somebody asked about that. Our agency, the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, has the mandate to register environmental consultants. So the ministry doesn't. So we rely on the ones registered by LASEPA to do the job. So we don't register separately. So and LASEPA has on their website, they have on their website the list of the registered consultants. But in case you want us to also advise with registered consultants, we can also do so from the pool that LASEPA has. If you want us to tell you those who have worked in the past that we can vouch for, we can do that if you so wish. About the issue of flooding, well, I'm sure that you know that the state government takes seriously the issue of flooding to the extent that the Ministry of Environment is divided into 2 offices. There is a whole office with a permanent secretary with a mandate to prevent flooding in Lagos. That's the Office of Drainage Services and Water Resources. And I believe that they are doing their best. Well, whether their best is enough is not what we can all say now, but they are working all around the clock to ensure that Lagos is flood free. But sometimes you also know that we are also the causes of this flooding. Sometimes when we need to do more of advocacy at our various local government levels, particularly for contributions of humans, anthropogenic activities that are causing flooding. People wake up in the morning, they see rain falling, and they think that they have seen a PSP operator. They just carry their waste and throw it into the rains. We still see this happen, and this waste goes to clog our drains. And then you will say, Lagos State, you can't even do ordinary. So these are the challenges we face. So we need to go from time to time to talk to our communities to also play their role. And then to clear, we have a responsibility, government have a responsibility for 2 major drains. They have responsibility for the primary drains, the collectors, and the secondary drains. But the tertiary drains in front of our houses, our responsibilities. And the water will come from the tertiary drains to get into the secondary before it goes into the primary drains. So if water cannot flow from you, the one in front of your house, how will it get into the collectors that will take it into the lagoon? That's where the challenge lies. Why did we stop environmental sanitation? Well, there are several reasons. But one major reason why it was stopped was that at a point in time, Lagos State government was taken to court by Ziono Gurua, what's the guy's name? Ade Gurua, and got a court judgment that we cannot restrict movements of people on every last Saturdays because of sanitation, that impinges on fundamental human rights of Lagosians. And so that was the beginning, that's the genesis of the whole issue. And as a sensitive government, we said, okay, let's stop it for now and see how we can review the process and make it in such a way that we won't have all these challenges. I believe that in the very near future, we may likely have the sanitation back, but maybe reviewed in such a way that we won't have infringements in court. Similarities between our environmental impact assessment and the one of our counterpart ministry, environmental impact analysis. Well, I am not a planner, but I have the privilege of going through at one time or the other the two reports that are produced. Environmental impact analysis, in my opinion, deals more about planning requirements. It addresses more planning requirements like setbacks, air spaces, parking space, all that is what it deals more with. Unlike us that deals more about environmental considerations that has to do with, for instance, how do you manage your wastewater? How do you manage your solid waste? It deals more. Why we also take into cognizance those planning issues also in us. We also look at how you address the issue of health and safety, the risk that people are exposed to. We also look at the issue of traffic impact. We look at that. And we also consider, beyond the ones I've mentioned, we also consider where the impacts that are associated to the immediate impacts of that project. And we go through the various phases of the project before commissioning, that's pre-project, project implementation period, the commissioning, and even decommissioning when the project is no longer needed and you want to pull the project down. How do you do it in such a way that it does not affect the environment and human life? Most times we think that EIA is just about when you want to put the project up, when you want to put it down. The EIA consider all the various phases of the project. For instance, even buildings are built to have a lifespan. It's only in this part of the world that buildings live forever. That's why when buildings get tired, they fall on their own. Because they were built to have a lifespan. Even man is made to have a lifespan. So structures are made to have a lifespan, and you can actually elongate those lifespan with either maintenance, improvements, upgrading, and all the rest. But most times when we build a house, we want our fourth generation to inherit it without anything done to it. So naturally, when the project outlives its lifespan, they're supposed to either improve it or pull it down up and build something else. So EIA also cover that phase of the project. I think, I'm not sure if I've done justice to your questions, but to the best of my ability, I think I have tried. Once again, thank you.
To bring this program to a close, I'd like to invite Mr. Olusegun Solomon to move the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. I want to appreciate and thank you all for honoring our invitation. We hold you in high esteem as stakeholders in the EIA process, and we believe that when we call next, you will honor our invitation. It is on this note that I want to, on behalf of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, thank you for honoring our invitation and making this stakeholder a successful program. Our prayer is that lesson learned here today will be taken to our various LGAs and SCDAs, as we believe that when we work together, we can achieve more in taking Lagos to a greater height. Thank you once again, and we pray that you get to your various destinations safely. Thank you, and God bless you.
We thank you very much for coming, and we wish you safe journey to your various destinations. Thank you.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Hello.
Please, can we take group pictures, please, for the few people who are still around? Please, we are sorry. We should have done this before. We are in a hurry to let you go. Please, let's quickly take the pictures, please. Eshe. Please, let's take pictures together. Participants, please. As many normally cover, some of them are going far. Má bínú ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ẹ má bínú, ẹ̀yin dádì wa, àtẹ̀yin mọ́mì wa, ó yá, ó yá, ó yá. Okay, my staff. Yeah.
Hello, what of us viewing? Are we not taking our own good pictures?
Hey, Jacob.